Hello. Hi, welcome everybody. I am here. I am always queer. I'm assuming you're all used to it. I'm used to it. Hi. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Got a lot of people here. We got Jabwark, AC, Arnold, Eden Coven. We got Cambertian, Scratchinway, Mooware, Clip, Neo Zero. Welcome all everybody. Welcome to Lochno also. Mikey, I feel like Service King, Kimbertian. I feel like, in the Gilligan's Island intro where they're like, and the rest. Do you like me? I'm glad sliding in is popular. Hi, everybody. I got some folks to thank before I get the stream started. We got a really good one for you today. It's a look at the first E3 plus an interview with Peter Molyneux. So this is going to be an insane one. So buckle up. If you don't have a buckle to buckle yourself up in, sit. That should work. I want to thank some folks before I get started, though. Thank you, Cambertian, for the 8-month resub. Do appreciate that. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Ness W, for the 18-month resub. That's huge. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Scratching away with the 18-month resub as well. I've got a Freddy fetish. Yeah, if you missed the intro, it was for a promo tape for Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, and they said that America had a Freddy fetish, which, could be real. America could have a Freddy fetish. We don't know that. What if it's like, instead of Freddy Krueger fetish, it's like a Freddy's custard fetish? I don't know. Anyways, thank you, Eden Coven, for the 100 bits. Enter now to get murdered by Freddy. I will. Yeah, they had some... Man, that was a really good one. I need to find more preview tapes like that. And thank you to Refurb for the 6-month resub. Thank you. And Orange Right with 100 bits. 100, I was going to call them bittery-doos, like didgeridoo. We got more didgeridoo too today. More didgeridoo too. I'm not talking about food play. But speaking of food, folks, you know what time it is. I got some bleak drink on the docket today. This, I really don't know about this one. This is the Real Co tea with 200 milligrams of tea polyphenes. So this is sugar-free. It's got vitamin C in it. It says it's iced tea with benefits. So I guess that means you can fuck it. I wouldn't fuck it personally. It's made in Cedar Knolls, New Jersey. And the reason why I'm a little nervous about this is because it's tea flavored with stevia, which and monk fruit, which I hate. I hate the taste of monk fruit. Oh, I earned a hype chest. What did I get? Oh, I got the cool cat. Choo indeed. Thank you, everybody. I'm glad I got that. Oh, brother, though. This. It doesn't even have a lot of caffeine in it. It's only got... Stevia I can deal with. Monk fruit, though. Monk fruit I hate. I think it tastes like bubble gum. So it's like gum flavored and everything. So anyways, time for torture. Oh my God, that peaked the mic. There is something about a train that's magic. No, I wish it was 200 milligrams of caffeine. It's only got 16 milligrams of caffeine, which is barely anything. I decided that this may taste so bad that I prepared a good tasting drink next to me. I've got some Mountain Dew Baja Blast. It's actually their tropical lime Baja Blast, which I like more than the regular Baja Blast. I know, I need more caffeine. I need more than like 16 milligrams of caffeine. All right. Oh, I don't want to do this. Okay, Alex, be brave. It's just monk fruit. The worst it can do is taste like bubble gum.
My life is nothing but pain.
So for the first 2 seconds, it tastes like a normal peach tea. And then all of a sudden, the stevia and the monk fruit hit you with a 1-2 punch, and your entire mouth tastes like...
Ooh. Running a little low on product.
It's so weird. Why do I keep buying stuff with monk fruit if you don't like it? Or do I enjoy torturing myself? I just think that, you know, listen, I'm running out of weird drinks to buy at H-E-B. I'm going to have to start. Oh, I wish I was sponsored. Mako, I bought, if you haven't seen it, every stream I buy myself a drink that looks weird and I drink it. And yeah, I'm running out of weird drinks at H-E-B. I'm going to have to start going to Whole Foods or something to find some more. Yeah, maybe someone will do something good
like
with
another sad case of people killing each other.
Maybe someone will do something good with monk fruit and I'll be like, yeah, I don't know. I've had one or two things with monk fruit that I didn't hate, but I think it just had very little monk fruit in it. So it was very, you know, there wasn't much to fuck with me. Okay, I'm gonna have 3 big sips and put this aside. Here we go. So I'm gonna say this: the tea that they're using is a good tea. The sweeteners that they're using need to go to hell. I will say the peach flavoring is better than a lot of other quote unquote natural peach flavoring I've had. A lot of times peach flavoring to me, they'll use some weird kind of peach flavoring and it tastes like mushrooms. Also, that could have been because I had a peach tea with mushrooms in it once and it was really bad. Yeah, man, okay, you're right. They do I could go to H Mart. There's also another there's a Korean grocery store I could go to in town, Hana World. There's a lot of places I could go. I am not ever drinking the Death Lemonade is gone. It's they killed it. They were like, "No, we can't have the Death Lemonade up anymore." So I will no longer be able to have it, which is fine. I can have a lot of caffeine and not get jittery. A lot of my new medications make me a little bit sleepy, so I drink a lot of caffeine, and I'm usually pretty good. But the Death Lemonade, I couldn't do. I mean, I could do it, and I would probably be fine. But also, I like my heart. I already drink like 200 milligrams of caffeine a day as is, so I don't need more. Folks, enough about caffeine and more about Lucy Lawless. No, technically more about Interactive Entertainment 15. I'm excited for this issue. I'm going to go right to it because we've got E3. We've got, I need to, hold on. Alex forgot to turn on the audio. There we go. Now you can hear. Actually, hold on. Nope, the audio's already here. I was about to double the audio. Never mind. I'm always doubling the audio for funsies. All right, there we go. So this issue's crazy. This issue goes hard.
Los Angeles, California, home of palm trees, movie stars, and more mimes than you can shake a stick at.
They didn't know there'd be mimes. Did you know there were mimes at E3?
Also home to a fledgling convention, the Electronic Entertainment Expo. While shows like CES feature just about anything you can plug into the wall, E3 is devoted entirely to game and entertainment products. Have no fear, the electronic gaming industry is quite large enough to support its own show. As with any event like this, chaos reigns supreme. Not to mention the competition. Zillions of companies with really big speaker systems and enormous television grids are trying to catch your attention.
That's a huge grid.
The noise level can get pretty overwhelming. But you can always come out to the atrium and listen to a mariachi band while sipping a warm, half-decaf cappuccino with a twist.
Did they have mariachi when you went to E3? Because if you experienced...
It's not unusual to see folks dressed up in costumes to advertise their company's products.
Holy fuck! Oh my god!
But the last thing I expected to see was the Doom interpretive dancers. No kidding, gang. There's just something about California. Something that apparently melts your brain.
Yeah, that's why I moved from California.
You can get the lowdown on the E3 experience along with a preview of Virgin's Big Buck Adventure Heart of Darkness and a profile of the orcs and humans at Blizzard Entertainment in episode 15 of Interactive Entertainment.
Yeah, that's, oh boy. So we've got a lot here. I'll go to the departments. Please have very few letters. Oh, good. Not that many. Oh man, they got a review of Mabus, which that was featured in our patron request gauntlet. Yeah, let's see what they say about Mabus. I just bought IE 13 today since my subscription doesn't start until 14. Unlike any other magazine of any type, I actually viewed each issues of IE cover to cover in one sitting. It's a pleasure. The hours of entertainment done in the way of the future until we get those gnarly head jacks and jack into a wall socket. Anyways, I just wanted to drop a missive stating how much I enjoyed your review of Mabus. I was laughing out loud throughout the article. It was worth having bought the game because I knew exactly where the reviewers were coming from. Luckily, I bought this waste of molecules with software, etc., so I could return it with a simple statement of, "Dear God, does it suck?" But getting the game and the world blowing up several times was worth it for your review. Very funny and spot on. One thing you didn't mention was that although the world does blow up a lot, it does it real good. The first 2, maybe 3 times. On another track, I just realized that I first saw IE with 9, which came packaged with a paper magazine. I don't recall which magazine, but your CD came completely uncovered except for the shrink wrap around the mag. The CD, of course, is useless. It had marks upon it, and while it installed seemingly without incident, it refuses to run. Even worse, I have to reboot to get out of it because the Windows that says error reading from D drive and then cancel and retry buttons seems to think that the cancel means retry because I cannot quit and out and back to Windows, even with a Control-Alt-Delete. It won't exit the program. Got to try it under OS2 Warp and see what it can do with it. Anyways, is there a way to get a replacement CD-ROM of issue 9? Last note, FYI, the demo of Dr. Brain on issue 13 seems to be messed up. The colors are completely off, like the palette is screwing up. Now, I have my VGA mode set to 65,536 colors, so I don't know why this happened. At any rate, it didn't bother me really, as the game isn't my cup of tea, but I'm sure someone out there will be horked off. Just thought I'd let you know in case no one else does. Late edition, just viewed the Harlan Ellison interview, which I must have missed. Heard his comments about parents groups. Yowza! Not shy, is he? Seriously, I really would like the choice to view the whole interview as one long series, as well as your choose the question format. Take care, and thanks again for a truly enjoyable experience. IF from Jeannie. Hi, glad you bought Mabus someplace you could return it. From now on, whenever I feel bad about slamming a poor game, I'm just going to reread your letter. To get your defective episode 9 replaced, call our tech support line at 802, so yeah, blah, blah. Then they'll walk you through a few brief tests to make sure that your disk is, in fact, hosed, then give you an 800 number that you can call to get your disk exchanged. Hold on. I don't know why you're having problems with the Dr. Brain demo, but you should give Sierra Tech Support a try. You can reach them online on CompuServe, go Sierra, or call them at blah, 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 Monday through Friday between 8:15 a.m. and 4:45 p.m. Pacific time. Finally, I'm glad you liked the Ellison interview. Be sure and check out the letters column next month because big changes may be in store for everyone's least favorite feature. I disagree. It's my most favorite feature. Oh man, I'm looking forward to the obligatory grovel. Not, but first, IE, the perfect addition to any diet. Hey there, I'm a new subscriber to IE. In fact, I haven't even received my first issue yet, although the subscription should start with issue 14, as I was told when I subscribed. I was lucky and got issue 10 for free just recently. I liked it so much I subscribed the same day, and I do mean all day, that I viewed it. I also bought issues 11 and 12 at the software store. I'm a new PC user. I've only had my PC since April 3rd. I've been an Amiga user for years now. Still am, and am writing this letter on my lovely AMI 500. But learning the PC is just like learning computers all over again. Anyways, my query. How can I change the IE icons so they say the issue number they represent? My interactive entertainment drawer window has two identical icons in it. One is for issue 10, the other is for issue 12. I haven't installed 11 yet. How can I change the icon name so that it says something like IE10 or some such? Also, may I recommend that your installed programs creates issue named icons in the future, since all the issues icons will go in the same drawer window? What are those called? Another request, my fine ladies and gentlemen, please make it so your interview can be viewed as one set instead of only being able to click the questions reply. One nice thing about the magazine's format is that I can read the interviews whilst doing other things, such as making lunch and so forth. By the way, I really enjoy the Origins Systems company profile and read it while making a lovely peanut butter banana and boysenberry jelly sandwich on dark rye. Okay. Oh man, welcome Amiga 500. Chat, would you have a peanut butter banana and jelly sandwich on rye? Like that? Great, thank you for following. Oh brother, I wouldn't do that. You would eat it on rye? I love rye, but I don't know if rye would go well with peanut butter. But what do I know? Also, I would suggest adding a how to use section, because there were things I didn't discover until after much time and by accident, such as being able to get the summaries, pros, cons, and what not info. Great feature, by the way. Anyways, y'all take care. Shax, thank you for the 16-month resub. Anyways, y'all take care. I look forward to my first subscribed issue and get the lowdown on Origins Cybermage. The tiny amount said about it in their company profile made me drool, or it could have been making the sandwich, says IF of Denver, Colorado. I could tell you how to name your icons to match your IE episodes, but honestly, it would be a waste of your time. You can run the install from episode 9 and the install from episode 13, and both will run IE9. In fact, there's a strong possibility that we'll be changing our install sometime soon so that the magazine runs completely off your CD, and the only thing it puts on your system will be an icon and an INI file to save your configuration settings. Speaking of which, you'll be glad to know that once the IE configuration features are implemented, you will be able to set your preferences so that the articles will automatically play summary, pros, and cons at the end. Yes! Oh man, I'm looking forward to that. Oh, that's actually a good quality of life feature. Nice. Glad to see a fellow Amiga fan, although it appears you held on far longer than I did. Such a shame, really. If a Commodore had marketed the machine more aggressively, we'd all be using them today. Let's hope that whoever ends up with the rights to the hardware does something intelligent with it. It would be a real pity to see the machine go the way of the Betamax. Finally, you'll find some additional info and screenshots on Cybermage in our E3 coverage of Origin this episode. This should whet your appetite for the full preview to come in a month or two. Next, the obligatory grovel. Not. Some stuff about subscription billing has been edited out of this letter. IE is a novel idea and uses CD-ROM for what it really is. A chunk of plastic to be filled with useful stuff in which people enjoy using as a reference guide for whatever purposes, game previews in this case, or containing applications, in IE's case, game demos and patches. Anyway, on with the obligatory grovel. Everyone else does. Q, what's happening with Quake? Have you by chance happened to get just one screenshot from id to show the captivated audience of Doom 2 what it's going to look like? Where's your secret agent? Hasn't he got the blueprints yet? When can we expect it? Will it be out before Win 95? Will it make good use of Win 95? Will it be good? Who cares? I want it and I want it now. If you can't get any info, send that grating, gravelly, deep voice Throggin. He's the man, thing, being, whatever, for the Mission Impossible, possibly. He's not Rod Stewart on his days, by any chance. Go forth and conquer. When are you gonna do a preview review of Sail 95, the America's Cup sailing simulator? I am hoping to be buying it soon, so hurry up while it's still a hot item. I want to know what you guys think. In your news section, after the logo of whatever software company you're presenting has been shown, put a screenshot or two of the games in question. It's nice to have at least one picture to see a work in progress. Many people are requesting more video footage of games doing their thing. Up to this point, all the AVI files have been displayed at a standard viewing size window. Why don't you give the user the choice to display these clips at anything from the normal viewing size up to full screen, depending whether the user's computer is powerful enough to handle it? Give them the choice. I know it is possible, as you can get capture equipment that can let you display full screen footage. The only program, to my knowledge, that uses this technology so far is the TVNZ New Zealand Encyclopedia. If you don't believe me, have a look for yourself. I've actually showcased that before, the New Zealand Encyclopedia, a long time ago. I gotta find it again. What's happening with Bullfrog Syndicate 2 Wars? I have the original Syndicate, which had me hooked from the time I played a demo. Can you get a demo of SW? If not a demo at the moment, then a comprehensive preview, lots of pictures, especially a building before or after the bombing, rocket or flamer. Blew it up, then burnt it to the ground. Flight Unlimited. I've read a lot about reviews, etc. But the main thing is a demo. A demo's been promised from the other Mags paper versions, but no one's come up with the goods. I remember a letter from an earlier IE where this person was complaining that the paper mags had reviews before you did. You gave them a list including dates of games you previewed. About 80 to 90% of the games you had been in on one before the paper rags. A few more demos per episode wouldn't go amiss, especially of the most latest hyped talked about games. This would improve your popularity. Agreed? NASCAR racing from Papyrus has to be one of my favorite simulations. Thrustmaster TI works like a dream with it. I would use nothing else. Now that NASCAR Track Pack has been released, what's Papyrus's next project? I am desperate to find out, so could you find out, please? This guy won't shut up. Oh my God. Sorry, I shouldn't be mean to this guy, but he's got a lot to say. Microprose Formula One Grand Prix 2 seems to have slipped out of sight. What's happened to the sequel? The original was excellent. If this has the graphics of NASCAR or even better, it's sure to be a hit. So, what's up? A suggestion for the patches. Why don't you try putting all new patches into their own new patch directory? Put all of the previous published older patches by IE into an old patch directory. Instead of having to quit DOS to get the patches, why couldn't a simple interface be executed to unzip the files wherever you like, the same as the demo's installation menu? This should shut all of the moaners up, don't you think? In IE issue 7, you got a fax from JFK stating that IE number 9 had only 127 megabytes. I noticed the same thing, but when using Windows File Manager, it plainly shows a total of 127 megabytes, but as you say, using directory shows 660 megabytes roughly, so that means the File Manager wasn't counting all the files contained on the CD, only the files in the root directory. Seems some people can be misled easily. What the fuck are you on about, dude? Who cares? I'm sorry. This guy is starting to piss me off. Being excited about Dark Force is a Star Wars Doom clone. I purchased the copy as soon as it was released. When receiving the game, I had a problem with the installation process. Who cares? It would come up with an error message, can't open Jedi.config. This was a bit of a piss off as I'd purchased the game from Chips and Bits as it couldn't be purchased in New Zealand yet. I got around this by copying certain files over. It ran, but what's the use of a installation program if it doesn't work? I later found that if I went into the Jedi directory and typed /install, the installation program ran without a problem. I'm fine. I just lost my place because I looked at chat. Okay, there we are. I don't know what happened, but LucasArts are generally a lot better than this. Did they actually check this before releasing it? I don't know, but someone got the directory address wrong in that file. I played DF Solid that first day. I got to mission 10. I can tell you when I finished level 14, I was extremely disappointed. 14 levels when Doom had 30, you can't even network it if you wanted to. In the installation menu, they have a line, add remove modules. No, am I imagining things? Or does it look like LucasArts has cut a 30 to 40 level game into modules to sell at a later date when Dark Forces sales start to drop? I don't know about you, but I feel as though I've been ripped of, as I expected the same amount of levels as Doom 2. Why did you publish this letter? The most disappointing thing is it took me less than a week to finish the game on the hardest settings. I'm not putting the game down. It's brilliant in its own ways. It's Star Wars. As a single player game, it should have had bigger, badder levels with around the 30 mission mark. Please say you're almost done. Oh my God, we've reached it. I guess groveling isn't really in my nature. The letters page tends to be a bit blank at times, so a few more letters would be good. I disagree. I know I enjoy reading what other people have to say. Thanks for a great CD mag. IE is a novel idea and uses a CD-ROM for what it really is, a chunk of plastic to be filled with useful stuff. Kind of like a beer ball. What the fuck is a beer ball? Like a beer bottle? A beer ball? Chat! What the fuck is a beer ball? Anyways. Yes, groveling is required before I'll even think about using your letter here. A. Oh, it's like a beer keg? If you know, they were tiny kegs. Beer balls are tiny kegs. Good to know. Good to know. I saw Quake at E3 in May. Honestly, there just isn't all that much interesting there yet. A single screenshot wouldn't do it justice. The basic engine seems to be fairly complete. You can walk around, etc. To be honest, right now it looks like Doom, except you can walk under bridges and stuff. That may have been because they were using Doom texture maps, I think. Better lighting sourcing, though. And it was good and fast, though for all I know, they could have been running it on an alpha under Next Step. As for a release date, I believe they are shooting for Christmas of this year. I don't know what their plans are for dealing with Windows 95, although from what I know of the id guys, I bet they'll support it. And as soon as we know a damn thing, you'll know it too. If you want to find out almost everything we know, pick up a copy of issue 12 and watch the video interview of Jay Wilbur. Rethrog. I passed your comment on to the big man itself, and it asked me to pass along the following reply. Throg no like Rod Stewart. Throg more partial to Christopher Cross and Manilow. Throg grunt the songs to make the whole world die. There you have it, straight from the horse's mouth. That's so funny. I was listening to a lot of Christopher Cross last night. Resale 95. There's a review this-ish, but if you're already planning to buy it, what do you need to see the review for? News. Oh man, accidentally. Excuse me. Now, don't you think that if we could get shots of the products we're talking about in our news, we'd use them? Of course we would. We'd love to be able to show you a screenshot of each of the products we talk about in our news, but in order to be timely, we often have to forgo that. Video. We'd love to be able to show full-size video, but we can't yet. It isn't that we don't have the technology to produce it. It's that the hardware required to play back decent full-screen videos beyond the baseline where we want people to be able to run IE. When we can change our minimum requirements to Pentium 75 with 8 megabytes of RAM, double-speed CD-ROM drive, and 2 megabytes video RAM, we'll go full screen. Of course, then, the issue becomes one of space. Right now, we're compressing our video at 150k per second so you can play it from a single speed. At that rate, 10 seconds worth of video is about 1.5 meg. If you go to double speed, logically, it doubles the space it takes up, limiting the amount of stuff we can show you. Simple answer, barring amazing technological breakthroughs, don't expect full screen video on IE anytime soon. Bunch of games. You'll find most of the questions you have answered in our E3 section. There's also a Flight Unlimited review in this issue. Demos. I agree that our demo section has been a little sparse lately. Part of it is space. Our editorial has been growing out of hand. Hopefully by next episode, I should be able to reveal some more things that are in the works to make some additional space available for more video clips of gameplay, demos, etc. Repatches. The directory suggestion is a good idea. What will actually happen starting shortly is that patches will run for 3 months and then die. A feature we may implement is some way to mark new patches on the patch list that appears in the magazine. Oh, so says our technological director. As for doing an install from the magazine, here's what the tech director has to say. As a viewer, I like that, but as a magazine employee, it stinks. We assume no liability for using patches. The extra work on the user's part reinforces that. Also, we run 1 to 4 demos a month. We run 90 patches. That's 90 install scripts and 90 compressions. Finally, many publishers request that the patch remain in its original zip file. Okay. We're getting there. Dark Forces. I have no problem installing Dark Forces, even through Windows 95. Have you tried contacting LucasArts about this? Probably the best way to do it is through CompuServe. They can be found at GammaPub, Section 7, or send email to blah, blah, blah. You weren't the only person who complained that Dark Forces was short. It was a chief complaint in many of the reviews I read, although not ours. We bitched about the utterly stupid lack of a save game feature. Oh, that is stupid. And in many online comments, I didn't find it a problem because the missions are so much larger and more involved than any single Doom level. Consider that each mission has, on average, 2 or 3 levels, and I'd say that the sheer area of the game rivals Doom 2. Add to that the fact that the levels are architecturally way more interesting than Doom's, and I can forgive them for not including more missions. On the other hand, I'll stake my reputation, such as it is, on the prediction that LucasArts will definitely sell add-on mission discs for Dark Forces. This worked very well for them with X-Wing and TIE Fighter, so count on it. The good news is that with LucasArts' history of high quality, I'd say you can expect the mission discs to include a ton of new material, possibly new weapons, new enemies, new terrain, etc. Read letters. You write me the War and Peace of all IE letters and then complain that we don't run enough of them? Isn't that a bit redundant? Says TK. I'm with you, TK. Fuck this guy. Okay, I'm having a sip of my bad tea. Here goes. Black. Are you geniuses planning on staying in business more than a few months? Well, I bet you won't make it. Whose idea was it to put the game Heirs to the Throne on your disc 12 with copy protection that calls for the page, paragraph, line, and word number in a manual which you morons reprinted without page numbers? Another example of your incompetence comes in volume 11, where you publish the manual for Walls of Rome without the pictures that are needed for copy protection on the pages. Short and sweet. Either short and sweet. Either get in the business and stop worrying about how cute the idiot who narrates your dribble sounds, or get the hell out of the business, says M.A. Welcome, Dark Mechs. Well, point by point, no. We thought we'd just piss away hundreds of thousands of dollars developing a really cool product, attract tens of thousands of fans, and then drive up your blood pressure by gradually introducing errors into all the parts of the Mac, until finally one day you slam the thing into your CD-ROM drive, it reformat your hard drive, and wipes your system BIOSes, and you blow a major cerebral artery into your frustration. It's a conspiracy. Shh, don't tell anybody. If we were as incapable as you make us sound, we probably wouldn't, but then I probably wouldn't make it through this letter without insulting you either. It wasn't really anybody's idea, it just sort of happened. Kind of like that Hindenburg thing. I assume by dribble you mean drivel? You did take a little English in school, didn't you? See, I was right. There I go insulting you. Shame on me. What can I say to someone like you? You've clearly got a lot of anger to vent, and frankly, I have no desire to be your punching bag. I think I've demonstrated in the past that I'll go out of my way to listen to any legitimate gripe, and even to unfounded ones if the letter writer is civil. I think it's important to pay attention to what your customers have to say, and if some of those letters are angry ones, so be it. I'm not looking for any bridges to jump off because a few readers get ticked at us. People like you bug me. You might be friendly enough in person, but since email is fairly anonymous, you think it's okay to say anything you want, however you want to say it. If that's the way you want to be, that's your choice, but it ain't gonna get you anywhere with me. Or are you hoping I'd be contrite and kowtow before your infinite wisdom, oh wise judge of CD-ROM publishing competence? Not happening. Did you think I'd be reduced to tears before your ruthless verbal assault? Keep dreaming. At least Mr. Right-Wing Drooler had a sense of humor. Oh, for the good old days. I have a piece of advice for you, my friend. Learn a little courtesy. It will take you a lot farther than blind aggression ever will, and earn you a lot more respect if you go in for that sort of thing. And as for copy protection, if you call us like the reasonable people who had this problem and ask politely, then we'll fax you the sheets we whipped up to get you past the copy protection for those 2 games. Maybe. Fiddle-de-gun, this section is done. Let's see what patches and upgrades they have. Oh, no patches. Ooh la la. All right. Let's go to the featured articles and let's learn about Heart of Darkness.
France's amazing studio is one of the closest things the computer game world has to a super group of designers. This silly-looking team has among it the creators of both Flashback and Out of This World. They've been working for the past 3 years on a PC adventure called Heart of Darkness, which will be distributed by Virgin Interactive. This is not an adaptation
that looked
of
exactly
Joseph
like a
Conrad's
sitcom
classic tale
photo.
of corruption and power. It's an original story based on one of the oldest
Heart of
things
Darkness
around,
coming to
the journey from
NBC this
innocence
fall.
to experience. The hero of the story is a freckle-faced boy named Andy. Like a lot of boys his age, he's not very fond of school and doesn't get along with the teacher very well. To tell the truth, he's terrified of him. But even when everything goes badly, he can always depend on his dog, Whiskey. One fateful day, Whiskey is kidnapped, and Andy knows he must do whatever is necessary to rescue his faithful friend. This is a more difficult task than you might imagine. For example, you probably wouldn't expect that Andy would have to look further than his own town or certainly his own world. But in order to reclaim Whiskey, Andy will have to travel to a strange new landscape where danger lurks around every corner and nothing can be taken for granted.
That's true. There's a lot of danger in this game.
Andy is not just a boy on his own in this wilderness. He has some pretty powerful weaponry for such a little kid. The Ghostbusters would kill for a gun like this. He also has a rocket ship at his disposal.
I want a
Now,
rocket
around
ship.
about this time, most folks are starting to think that maybe this whole adventure is a figment of our hero's imagination. But you'll have to come to your own conclusions. The designers are deliberately keeping the story ambiguous until the game's end. Maybe Andy's just having a major flight of fancy, or maybe he's in severe danger here. Whichever it is, there are plenty of hazards and challenges to keep you on your toes. One of the most impressive things about Heart of Darkness is the sheer scale of the thing.
Oh, this is where
Andy
Danny
must make his way
died.
through over 250 different areas in his quest. The bulk of the adventure is side-scrolling platform style, but there are seamless transitions to some exquisite
What the
animations.
fuck?
There are 27 minutes worth of cinematic sequences included in the game.
That is so
The gameplay
French.
itself is also astoundingly smooth. The character animation for Andy
Hey,
consists of
Sturlock, I'm a
1,600
jester right
frames
now.
for just one direction. Most cartridge games contain no more than 1,200 for the whole game. There is also a tremendous amount of character
Cool
detail
backwards
from both
hat.
a visual and personality standpoint. This land of darkness is populated almost entirely by soul-hungry phantoms and brutal servants, led by the sinister Master of Darkness.
Ooh.
Interestingly, this arch-villain bears a striking resemblance to Andy's teacher back home. What a coincidence. While Heart of Darkness is not being billed as an interactive movie, there's no ignoring its cinematic influences. The visuals combine
did look
high-energy
like the
action
evil boss
fare
from the
like Raiders of the Lost
Raccoons.
Ark with character design reminiscent of Jim
What the
Henson's
fuck
best
is
work,
this
as
guy?
demonstrated by the character
Ugh.
Amigo here. Even the music is being recorded by a real orchestra
Awful.
and composed by Bruce
Sorry.
Broughton, who has also written the
Yeah,
score
Cyril
for Miracle
Sneer.
on 34th Street and several others.
I should
This
get a
is
Cyril
not a
Sneer
game for young
tattoo.
children. In order to save his canine friend, Andy must confront the dark and the things that live in it, and some of those things can be pretty scary. But players from age 12 on up will probably get a lot of enjoyment out of Heart of Darkness. With the kind of creative power behind it that Amazing Studio has to offer, it's very likely that this game will become a classic of the genre.
Okay. Why'd you kick me out of featured articles? All right, are we ready for an extremely long look at E3? Let's fucking go. Chat, we've got so much to go through here. I'm very excited. First off, the 7th level.
While 7th Level made a name for itself with undefinable entertainments like Monty Python's Complete Waste of Time, they're making a bold move into the straightforward game world starting with Battle Beasts. While this is not the first cartoon animal fighting game ever seen, it is the most challenging and possibly the cutest. Your objective is to find and destroy the evil Toadman and his minions. In addition to all the hand-to-hand fighting going on,
Oh, you
there are
had
also
this.
secret
Wonderful.
rooms where players can trade special fight moves and select advanced weaponry, including freeze rays, flamethrowers,
The game is
plasma
not
burst,
good.
and
Didn't
believe
play
it or not,
very well.
rat puke.
Okay.
Battle Beast will ship in August for Windows 95. Arcade America is another animated game
This
product
is the
starring
game I've
Joey,
been wanting to
hapless
play.
kid with a lot of pet monsters. In an effort to wake Joey up one morning, the monsters blow up his house, dropping California into the ocean and scattering everybody all over the country. Now, Joey
Did we
has to
play
round up the
this?
troublemakers before they cause any more damage. There are 10
It may have been
distinct
someone else.
platform-type
I don't
games the
remember
player
playing
has to
Arcade
put
America.
Joey through to collect his
But
monster buddies.
I've been
All the while
streaming for
making
over
its
10
way
years,
toward
so we
the
may have
grand
done
finale,
it.
a rockin' concert at Woodstock. Look for it in September. Producer Quincy Jones wants to take you on a tour through the history of American music. Q's Juke Joint will offer a sweeping view of this rich subject
Chat, did
through
this come
animation,
out?
historic footage, interviews, vintage photography,
Holy
and legendary
shit.
musical performances. Among the musical styles to be explored in Q's Juke Joint are jazz, rock and roll, rhythm and blues,
This did come out?
ragtime,
I need
folk,
this.
gospel,
I need
and
this.
indigenous African and classical music.
So
The product is
cool.
planned to present a definitive and integrated overview of American
Okay,
music
I know what I
and its
want.
relationship
This looks
to world culture
good.
and history. Q's Juke Joint will start jumping next year.
Let me add it to
Virtual
my
reality
phone.
is a zany cartoon professor who wants to examine all aspects of the universe and present the information he discovers in a
Yeah,
fun way.
absolute future
His voice
stream.
is being
Hold on.
supplied by comedian Charles Fleischer, most famous as Roger Rabbit. Virgil and his strange friends will present the world of science as it's never been seen before. The universe,
This
according
reminds me
to
of that
Virtual
Howie
Reality,
Mandel
is scheduled
game.
for release in October. At last report, Genome was an upcoming Merit product, but 7th Level has recently acquired the rights to this sharp-looking science fiction adventure. The player is the sheriff for a planetary group on the outer fringes of the galaxy and must use his skills
Yeah,
in
this looks
communication,
completely different from all the
negotiation,
other
and
games.
combat to seek out the elusive Genome. This highly anticipated interactive movie will definitely ship before year's end.
All right, what's Accolade up to?
If you enjoyed seeing your quarterback pass for 30,000 yards and your
No.
running backs rushing for 15,000 per season in the old unnecessary
They better
roughness
have
games,
Bubsy or else
prepare
I'm
for an
gonna
attitude
die.
adjustment. Accolade was showing off unnecessary roughness 96 at E3, and it was quickly apparent that its designers are working hard to make the statistics a little more realistic. The new version, set for release in November, will also include more than 700 NFL players, the real team logos, and all 30 NFL stadiums.
Ooh,
As
Chicago
is the rule
Bears.
for all Accolade sports games, ABC
I wanna meet
sportscaster
some
Al
Chicago
Michaels provides the
Bears.
play-by-play call. Super Bubsy is making the move to Windows.
Yeah,
the
Super Bubsy.
interactive
I actually
cartoon
have this.
side-scrolling
I have
adventure
this.
is set for release at the same time as Windows 95. As we went to press, Microsoft was holding to its August release date, and if Bill Gates says it, you know it must be true. Super Bubsy for Windows 95 will be based on Accolade's video game Bubsy in Claws Encounters of the Third Kind.
Good.
Star Control 3 is being developed for Accolade by Legend Entertainment. The universe remains the same, but many elements of the game are getting an upgrade. There will be 30 animated aliens created by Hollywood special effects artists and voiced by professional actors. The storyline of the game calls for the player to explore and conquer a giant universe, but if you're not into plots, you can simply go into hypermelee and blow the hell out of everything you see. Star Control 3 is scheduled for release in October. Jack Nicklaus, live at Muirfield Village, scheduled for release in September,
This
pitched the
should have been
computer
Jack
golfer against
Nicholson's
one of
golf,
Nicklaus's toughest
and
creations.
he
The
should be
designers
looking
are
like
planning to
Drill.
use more than
IMHO.
8,000 digitized photos of the actual course in the game. You take on Nicklaus or any hapless human opponent who happens to be around in more than 10 different tournament competitions. All-Star Baseball, which should already be out as you view this episode of IE, is a lot like Accolade's live-action football release of earlier this year with one important twist. While live-action football used footage of semi-pro players, All-Star Baseball will feature real major leaguers. This is not an arcade-style game since you call the shots as the manager. Of course, you'll hear Al Michaels' voice in the background.
Of course. All right, Fiddledy Fester, that's it for the Jester. Hi, I'm normal now. All right, let's learn about. Yeah. I do have a copy of Super Bubsy,
The
so I
biggest
could play
news
that
at
sometime.
Activision is the imminent
should.
release
Yeah,
of
Super Bubsy to my
Mech
list.
Warrior 2. No, really. After 2 years in development, this eagerly anticipated title is about to make a robust appearance this July. For the uninitiated few, Mech 2 is a combat simulation based on FOSS's BattleTech universe. You strap into the cockpit of one of 15 battle
Hey,
mechs,
welcome on.
which can be custom designed with a variety of lethal armaments. The terrain ranges from urban landscapes to ice to desert. Choose between instant action or a campaign-style career mode that lets you progress towards being the Khan of your clan. Mech 2 will also support Activision's first network package, which will be released in September. Nostalgia nuts will get another chance to relive their Atari 2600 wasted youth when Activision
Good.
releases Action Pack 2
I'm always
for
wasting
Windows.
my youth.
This is the second in a 4-part series of games that play on a 2600 emulator. If you were crowing to your office mates about your new Pitfall score from the last Action Pack, you're not going to want to miss this new series of 15 classic games. The entire list has yet to be announced, but Barnstorming,
I actually don't know how that
Megamania,
emulation
and
was.
Keystone Cops are definitely included. The full package should be in
Compilation
stores
is cool
as you
because
view
it has
this
an option to
episode
have a
of IE.
virtual mom yelling at
Speaking of
you.
Pitfall, its excellent update, Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure, is being ported to Windows 95
Cool.
and released concurrently with that
they're on
system
look
in
at their old
September.
copy of Photoshop.
The original Pitfall was really
was
the
cool.
seed from which monster hits like
Oh,
Mario
man.
Brothers titles grew. In the Mayan Adventure, Pitfall Harry is
I
back,
didn't use
but
a
now
lot of
he has
Photoshop growing up.
feature-film
I used
quality
Paint Shop
animation
Pro.
backing him up. As he goes swinging, pit-hopping, crocodile dodging, bungee jumping, and boomeranging through 13 levels in an attempt to rescue his father from an evil Mayan warrior. One of last year's weirdest game system successes is being ported to Windows 95, and we couldn't be happier about it. Earthworm Jim is the story of a lowly
That's him.
earthworm who suddenly finds himself endowed with superhuman qualities when an indestructible cybersuit falls out of the sky and lands on him. With his newfound power, he undergoes a quest to rescue Princess What's-Her-Name. While there is certainly a game element to Paparazzi Tales of Tinseltown, it's really just for laughs. The work of a multimedia comedy team,
Did this
Paparazzi
come
is a
out?
satirical parody that offers excitement, humor, and adventure. The player is a freelance photographer trying to capture candid shots of Tinseltown's more notable figures. The pictures are then sold to competing tabloids for publication. Paparazzi will be available for Mac and Windows
This
this
seems
June.
like I want to see that. All right, before we continue, unfortunately, I will be right back. I'm fine, but the T is disagreeing with me a little bit. I'll be right back, folks, and we will continue with Avalon Hill. I wonder what's going on at Avalon Hill. Crazy things. I returned. Thank you for waiting. Sorry about that. All right. Let's go through the next one. Let's do Avalon Hill. No, not Blizzard. Go back.
Blizzard
Well, we'll just do
Entertainment,
Blizzard.
creators of Blackthorn and the highly successful real-time strategy game Warcraft Orcs and Humans, demonstrated their intent to become a big name in entertainment software at E3.
Oh.
Their current ambition, to begin releasing one new product per quarter starting in 1996. They've already begun laying the groundwork to fulfill this plan, while still laboring to have two major projects in stores by Christmas '95. First and foremost in Blizzard's upcoming lineup is the sequel to Warcraft. Warcraft 2: Tides of Darkness will employ the same formula that made the original so compelling, with one new feature added: more of everything.
More of everything.
All new artwork in SVGA, a map 4 times the size of the original game, 4 or more players via network, more buildings, more units, more magic spells, and more
Yeah,
cinematics.
Warcraft 2 with new
Additionally,
elves.
Warcraft 2
New
sports
orcs.
radical additions to the gameplay itself. Tides of Darkness adds naval and aerial units to the equation, as well as 2 new resources, oil and ore. Add to this the fact that you will no longer have to build next to roads. Add to this a new Fog of War effect, which will let you see explored terrain, but not necessarily see enemy units there. All in all, an impressive list of features added to what may well be the most eagerly anticipated sequel of the 1995 Christmas season. Also scheduled for release in 1995 is Pax Imperia 2. Planned for simultaneous release for Windows and Macintosh, this sequel to the highly acclaimed 1993 strategy title for the Mac lets you take control of a galactic empire. You must control the economic development, diplomatic relations, and military buildup of your empire, while up to 15 opponents do the same. Like all Blizzard games, PAX 2 will support multiplayer via modem or network. Kicking off Blizzard's plans to produce a title a quarter at the
Shattered
top
Nations.
of 96 is Shattered Nations. This civilization-style strategy game is set in a post-Holocaust Earth. You must rebuild humanity nearly from scratch while developing an economic system and rediscovering the lost technology of the Shattered Earth. Finally, Blizzard's second quarter 96 release is Diablo.
That's a game
you are
I've
the last
been
survivor
wanting
of
to
a
play.
village
I like
raised by the
Torchlight 2
force
so
known
much,
as
and I really
Diablo.
need to get into
To
Diablo.
avenge your family's murder, you trace the evil to a decimated village where you must explore a hidden labyrinth in which you will find vengeance or meet your doom. Unique features of this fully rendered RPG
I
include
hope I
its
don't meet my
multiplayer options
doom.
and replay-enhancing
Shattered
random
Nations
level
didn't
generators.
come out. Okay, did you see how involved those nipples were on that demon?
Avalon Hill was furthering its already established reputation in the field of wargame titles at E3. Featured at the Avalon booth were games involving warfare in areas of old ship-to-ship fighting to full-scale World War II invasions. First up was D-Day America Invades, which is part of the World at War series. As you can probably tell from the title, D-Day gives the player control of the forces involved in the historic European invasion. Expect a release in July. The Third Reich, a translation from the classic board game, will be making it to the PC. Third Reich is a game of grand strategy in World War II in which the player must develop his or her resources and tactically outwit the enemy to win the war. The Third Reich will be out in August. Beyond Squad Leader is coming out this fall. The player is put in charge of a squad of soldiers that must be led across the battlefield and against the enemy while directing the fire of your troops as well as other weapons such as tanks. The game features a nice-looking interface
It does look
and
nice.
animated characters to accent the classic Avalon Hill strategic combat features. A scenario editor will also be in the package, so players can do a little design work of their own. Beyond Squad Leader is slated for a September release. Wooden Ships and Iron Men is another PC translation from a board game.
That
Featuring
logo.
Battle
That's
on the
me.
High Seas
I'm
and the
biting your
definitive
logo.
Avalon Hill style, look for its release in September.
All right, we looked at Blizzard. What? Capstone! What's Capstone doing?
The big news for Capstone
Tech
at E3
War!
was the Tech War game,
Tech
based on
War!
the USA TV series, which is based on novels by William Shatner, better known to most of us as Captain Kirk on the really old version of Star Trek. This 3D adventure lets the player lead the war against Tech, the hallucinogen of choice in New LA. While there's a lot of moving and shooting, the player must also find clues to the location and weakness of the Tech Lords.
What if I took
Throughout
Tech?
the game, Shatner
Can I
will be
take Tech?
reprising his television role as Detective
Can I get
Walter
a
Bascom,
prescription for
giving you
Tech?
briefings and advice. Tech War hits the street for the PC in
Is there
September.
like a medical
Look
tech
for a special
program
report
that I
on
can
the
get
game
my
and an
tech
interview
through?
with Shatner himself in
Sorry,
an
I just
upcoming
wanna try
episode
Tech.
of IE. Witchhaven is a first-person 3D action game with a lot going for it. The player is a knight on a quest to defeat the witches and demons who have cursed the land surrounding the castle of Witchhaven. Yeah, okay, it's a Doom clone. But
Look
the
at that
monsters are all
dragon!
stop-motion animated from clay models, the player's hands are taken from video, and the sets are all gorgeous in SVGA.
What?
There's a lot of hand-to-hand combat and directional spells which can be guided after firing.
I'm putting this on
There's
the list
also
too.
net play for up to 16 players available. Witchhaven should be released just in time for Halloween. Chronomaster is a graphic adventure written and designed by Hugo Award-winning science fiction author Roger Zelazny.
It's not that cool in
Chronomaster
game.
has to
I
investigate
know.
the shutting down of numerous
It's Capstone.
pocket
It
universes.
can't be good.
Someone or something has put them into a time-locked stasis, and it's up to Corda to put a stop to it. Each universe the player explores follows its own laws of physics
Dual
and is
guns.
depicted with fully rendered 3D graphics.
When it's not
This
killing you
nonlinear
randomly,
game
it's not
features
bad.
loads of puzzles
Okay.
and challenges and is due for PC release in November. Last year, Harpoon 2 was the best-selling,
excuse me.
most critically acclaimed computer naval war game ever released.
Chat, I've almost
Now,
finished my
thanks to
peach
the
drink.
capacity of CD-ROM, Capstone is able to release Harpoon 2 Deluxe Multimedia.
Hey, Scarlet
This new package
Swordfish.
contains 30 new scenarios featuring crisp video and sound effects. There's also a scenario editor giving wargamers unlimited playability. Look for it this summer.
Delightful. Chat, I'm gonna say it. I didn't like the peach tea at first. I still don't really like it at the end. EA, we got it. But not the worst monk fruit sweetened peach tea drink I've had. Nothing as bad as that Junie tea that I had. That was one of the worst things I've ever had in my life. Not the worst. So, Ryle Tea Company, you are not the worst tea I've ever had in my life. So, good job.
Actions seemed to be the main theme in the Domark booth at E3, and one nice surprise was Big Red's Racing. Named for the company that developed it, Big Red's Racing is based on the same game engine in Tank Commander.
Okay.
Featuring land and water vehicles, Big Red's Racing has multiplayer capabilities. It's not a simulation, but an arcade-style racing game designed to be fast and furious. Big Red's Racing should be available by Christmas. One of the main features was Confirmed Kill, the multiplayer
Confirmed
fighter
Kill,
sim which is
okay.
played over the internet.
Love to
About
confirm my
500
kills.
players can fly at one time in free-for-alls or organized team events. Confirmed Kill incorporates sophisticated flight models of many different types of fighters, which can be flown either in realistic mode or a more arcade-like style that makes it easier just to fly and shoot. Minute details are covered in Confirmed Kill, down to the point that if you hit an enemy plane with a bullet, the craft will respond accordingly. This means if the right wing is hit, the plane loses an appropriate degree of control for the right wing. Confirmed Kill should already be up and running. Absolute Zero is a fight to the death against aliens who attack a mining colony. More than just a shoot-'em-up, Absolute Zero features missions in which you must do things like rescuing colony workers and trapped miners. Being on a mining colony, you don't really have proper weapons, so you have to make do with what's around to transform a normal air vehicle into a fighter. Sometimes play will put you in the driver's seat of the fighter, while other times you'll be in the turret while your fighter is controlled by the computer. Absolute Zero should already be out in stores.
Okay.
Domark was also featuring the Orion Conspiracy, an adventure
I know
game
this
in
game.
which you must solve a mystery which begins with the death of your son. The player travels from area to area, picking up and using objects, talking to other characters, and gathering information which will ultimately lead the player to the solution. Hand-painted backgrounds, full-motion action sequences, and over 50 hours of gameplay highlight this mystery adventure. The Orion Conspiracy should be available now. Berserker is a futuristic fighter sim involving a human-like group of robots called Berserkers. The game basically consists of 3 sections: a resource management strategy scenario in which the player must develop resources to fight the Berserker menace, air-to-air combat against the Berserkers, and a first-person shooter in which the player of a group of commandos, which the player can control, goes aboard the Berserker base to finish off the enemy. Berserker is set for release in January or February of '96. The long-awaited Lords of Midnight, a highly detailed
I like the
first-person role-playing game, is
dragons.
finally being released. The player can travel the countryside on foot, boat, horse, and dragonback with 8 camera angles
Dragonback?
to show the action. Lords features fully animated
Do not
characters,
jump onto
an
my back. I
online
will
almanac
not give
of
you
all
a
the
ride.
characters and creatures, and an easy point-and-click interface. Lords of Midnight should currently be in stores.
Okay, let's go play Lords of Midnight. EA, we got it.
Electronic Arts was displaying the sequel to Flashback at E3 titled Fade to Black. Featuring the trademark animation found in Flashback, Fade to Black puts our hero Conrad B. Hart in another adventure, this time to free the solar system from the control of a race of monster brains and their evil servants called Morphs. With 6 huge levels, 3D rendered bad guys and traps, Fade to Black has different camera angles which can change automatically or be customized to give the player that cinematic feel they desire.
That cinematic
Fade to
feel.
Black will be available in September. Psychic Detective is an interactive
Oh, man,
comedy
Psychic
thriller made with help
Detective!
from Colossal Pictures. Live-action footage is used with the game,
Oh, man,
in
this
which
is
the
an
player is
FMV
a psychic
classic.
detective who can see through the eyes of any character in whatever scene is being played out. There are many different movie paths, so each time the game is played, different events and endings can be explored. Psychic Detective will be released this November or December. EA continues its tradition of successful sports titles with
You have
NHL
all
96.
images to show
All
for
of the
Psychic
NHL teams and
Detective.
rosters based on the 95 season will be included, as well as body checks, slap shots, power plays, and 5 camera angles. Players will be able to choose from the original 94-95 schedule, the post-strike schedule, a 25-game short season, or a random schedule. The CD-ROM version will feature modem support for head-to-head play. NHL 96 is due out this fall. The ABC television network has teamed up with Electronic Arts for a series of products to
These
be
games are
marketed as
good. I
creative
remember showing them
wonders.
off on stream
While
a
there are
while
several
back.
educational products for younger users, the roster also includes a Windows adaptation of the classic Schoolhouse Rock series of animated shorts. There will be 4 installments of the series: Multiplication Rock, Grammar Rock, America Rock, and Science Rock. Each will include the original cartoons in digitized form and a series of
Or
related
maybe I
games
didn't
with
show it.
familiar
Well, I know I
characters
was
like the
planning
Noun
on doing
Girl
a Schoolhouse
and Lucky
Rock
Seven
stream.
the
I
Rabbit.
may have
Other
not
Schoolhouse
done it,
Rock
but
products
I
scheduled for
definitely got
release
prepared for
are
it.
a series of soundtrack albums and an alternative Schoolhouse Rock album featuring your favorite artists singing these ridiculously catchy songs. Imagine Pearl Jam singing Preamble to the Constitution. Bullfrog, the creators of Populous and Magic Carpet, is one of the most prolific divisions of EA. The British firm was showing their latest products at E3, one of the most eagerly awaited being Magic Carpet 2. This time, there are more environments to fly around in, such as night, ice, and tundra, as well as additional spells, weapons, and creatures.
Yeah,
Magic
that's
Carpet
Peter
2 has a
Molyneux.
tentative release date of September or October. Creation is also in the works for Bullfrog. To get the
Ooh, I
idea of
love
creation,
creation.
imagine Magic Carpet under the water with the same smooth playing environment and drop-dead gorgeous graphics. The player must work with the denizens of the deep to fight against a strange plant-like organism that's invading
Yeah,
the
nothing
water.
bad'll happen to him. They'll be
Syndicate
fine.
Corporation Wars, the sequel to the hit Syndicate, will be rolling out for the PC in '96, featuring new environments and improved graphics, but still retaining the same popular Syndicate combat style. Syndicate Corporation Wars will be available for the PC around March
I
of
remember
96.
there being a
High
Schoolhouse
Octane
Rock
is a
album
racing
that
game
was just
developed using
covers.
the Magic Carpet engine. Breakneck racing action with the incredible graphic style found in Magic Carpet should be available this summer. EA also unveiled the product of their collaboration with Road and Track magazine called The Need for Speed. The player will be able to drive 8 different sports cars, including the Lamborghini Diablo VT, Ferrari 512 TR, Dodge Viper RT10, and more. These machines can be driven against the clock in time trials, against the computer or modem-linked player, against 7 other opponents in a single race, or the player can race in tournament mode where they must win on each track to become champion. Real-time Dolby surround sound digital sound samples have been used for an authentic feel. Look for The Need for Speed this fall.
All right. What's Empire up to?
Empire led its E3 lineup with the Civil War. With everything happening
they're
in
doing
real
Civil
time,
War.
the
That's
Civil
cool.
War allows you to recruit armies and
I
wage full
personally wouldn't
campaigns,
do Civil
or the
War
player can just fight
because
an
I want to
historical
go to
scenario.
war with my country.
With a large
I would go
database
to war
covering
with,
everything from
like,
important figures to songs of the war, the Civil War has a ton of information
people
on
who
what
make
really happened.
mobile
Also,
games,
modem and
probably.
network play enables 2 players to compete against each other. Empire's The Civil War should already be out in stores. Red Ghost puts you in control of a special forces unit with the task of hunting down an enemy military force known as Red Ghost. With elements of action, strategy, and simulation, Red Ghost is a little bit of everything.
Go to war with
Included
capitalism.
is a soundtrack
Well,
done by
I'll
Bruce
try.
Foxton
I'll
from The Jam
try.
and Jake Burns from Stiff Little Fingers. Featuring some incredible intro sequences, Red Ghost has a release date of September. Empire's Pinball lets you play on an SGI-generated table viewed from the player's eyes. Different playing perspectives will be available, allowing the camera to zoom around the table and follow the ball. Multi-ball play is included with up to 6 balls possible on the table at once. Pinball is an attempt at trying to come as close to the real thing as possible. Even the correct materials like plastic and chrome are simulated. Pinball should be available around Christmas. Flying Corps is basically the next generation of the successful title Dawn Patrol. A new style and easier playability have been incorporated, while the realism and accuracy of the original have been kept intact. Flying Corps takes place over northern France and will give the player multiple types of planes to fly. Clouds will be included, as well as improved ground graphics and additional sound effects. With an initial release planned for the Sony PlayStation, expect the PC version out in March of '96.
All right, Game Tech. What are you up to?
Without
my
a doubt,
God,
the
there's a
star
lot
of
to
the
say about
Game
Game
Tech
Tech.
booth was Baldi's. This comical strategy game is due out for the PC in June and Mac and 3DO in July. And from the playable levels at the show,
Chat,
it
do
will
you
have
like the
been worth wait.
Baldies?
It combines aspects of Populous and Warcraft with some very silly elements like exploding cows and heliports on pyramids. Look for a serious merchandising blitz on this title. Receiving almost as much fanfare as Baldi's was Super Street Fighter II Turbo.
Baldi's is
The
90
Arcade
levels.
Classic is now available on the PC, and it's compatible with 6-button controllers to keep the action intense.
That's too
You
many
can
Baldi's.
learn updated moves and powers from your favorite Street Fighter, play at 3 distinct speed settings, and charge up your super meter and let loose with the new Super Combo maneuvers. On the sillier side of hand-to-hand combat, fans of
it's
the cartoon
Brutal!
animal fighting game Brutal Paws
Pick your
of Fury
persona.
should be
I'm-
able to
I'm the
compete for
rat.
the favor of the Dalai Lama on their PC by now.
I can also
The
be that
sequel
guy.
to this cult favorite, Above the Claw, will hit the Sega 32X this June, and owners of the new Sega Saturn can look forward to futuristic feral fighting in Brutal 2210. Players who enjoy altering their perception, in a perfectly legal manner of course, will probably enjoy the upcoming PC adventure Sham Spade, The Compelling Adventures of A. Gent. The player character starts the game drunk, and his outlook changes drastically as he finds caffeine, Alka-Seltzer, and stuff like that. The scenery is drawn in a comic book style, and the story takes place primarily within the confines of the government building with a capital G, where A. Gent has to outwit a terrorist gang before they turn his lights out for good. Expect this oddball caper to hit the shelves this June. Cyberbikes will give the PC user a two-wheeled ride through a lightning-fast true 3D world.
That didn't come out,
You
but
can configure your
Cyberbikes
bike to
did?
your own
That's sad.
specifications with missiles, armor, grenades, and turbo power. This high-speed shoot-'em-up features custom-level construction, VR head support, and 8-player network support. You can satisfy your need for speed when Cyberbikes arrives this July. Speaking of speed, danger, and major violence, GameTech is about to release the sequel to last year's smash hit, Quarantine. Road Warrior continues the adventures of Drake Edgewater 21st Century Cabbie. Now that he's managed to escape from the prison known as Chemo City, he's enlisted by a group of exiles to help take down the
Yeah, I
Omnicorp
want to know
Empire.
about the drunk adventure
This
game.
first-person actioner is an SVGA and
Excuse
features new
me?
enemies, enhanced
I
weapons,
look like that.
multiple camera views, and an improved driving model. It'll be on the street for the PC in July. On the strategy front, Escalation is an interplanetary war game that lets the player work out his own version of Cold War insanity. Two powers on the planet Kelra are vying for a sector of new territory to house their ever-expanding population. There are over 20 different levels of weapon technology, video reports from generals, scientists, spies, and advisors, and a sophisticated AI. Escalation will be available for the PC and Mac in September. Intergalactic Development, the team that brought
The
you the
War
Universal Military
College.
Simulator 1 and 2, are back to take advantage of improved technology with
Yeah,
War
I got
College,
my major
a
in the War
solid model,
College.
variable, real-time military simulator.
Majored in
This
war.
is the only war game that allows you to rotate the battlefield a full 360 degrees in 3D. On top of this, the product is jam-packed with historical information and full multimedia presentations on the included battles. The basic disc contains 5 historic battles, and expansion discs will cover every era of history. The first part of this exhaustive series will be available for the PC in October. Frontier First Encounter was recently released and is already receiving lots of attention. This intergalactic game is the third installment in the Elite series, and it features lots of planets for you to explore, spectacular space combat sequences, and virtually unlimited gameplay. You can try your hand
Ooh,
at
it's
bounty
virtually
hunting, high-risk
unlimited.
assassinations, espionage, courier runs, and trading. This title is available for the PC now. And for those of you who are chomping at the bit waiting for the Nintendo Ultra 64, GameTech is preparing a simulator based on the ever-popular Robotech series. It'll feature a faithful representation of the Veritech fighters in combat with the Zentradi warriors, and a detailed storyline with a strong character-driven
Zentradi, aren't they
aspect
the
like
guys
series
from
itself.
Macross?
Robotech Academy will be released at the same time as the Ultra 64.
Didn't come out. Okay. All right, we're off to GT Interactive.
GT Interactive is continuing its intense involvement with id Software and has a pile of products on the schedule to satisfy the most hardened Doom fans.
Prototype is out there.
Up
Okay,
first
cool.
is the Ultimate Doom, a retail version of the game originally
Robotech
only
is based
available
on
as
Macross.
shareware.
I'm so
To increase
stupid.
the appeal to those who already have the registered
I
version
forgot
of
that
Doom,
was Robotech.
Ultimate
I thought
will
it was
include an
Mech
all-new
Warrior, and I was
episode,
like, Mech
Thy
Warrior.
Flesh Consumed. Likewise, GT is planning to ship Heretic to retailers in September, again with an additional episode not found in the shareware version. This will be followed by Heretic 2. Details are sketchy, but we've been promised that Heretic 2 will be all new, so expect new weapons, new monsters, and new levels. As if the most successful PC product in recent memory weren't enough, GT has also acquired the rights to distribute several upcoming Williams products, including Mortal Kombat 3. Scheduled for release for the end of '95, Mortal Kombat is, of course, the newest title in the highly successful series of fighting games. This latest release will also include all of the features of the arcade version, including 8 new characters, secret codes, special moves, fatalities, blackout levels, and more. Another title from GT which is destined to be popular is Vampire the Masquerade. Based on the highly successful storytelling game, Vampire tells the story of Kyle, a depressed talk
Kyle!
radio DJ. In the process of becoming a vampire, he commits a terrible crime and is sentenced under vampiric law to die. With only 5 days until his sentence is carried out, he must learn how to function as a creature of the night while proving his innocence. Vampire will feature advanced motion capture using 3D models and a
Kyle.
highly sophisticated conversation system. It'll be available in the fall of 1995. Finally, GT will serve to distribute the first titles from new developer Zombie. First up
Zombie.
is Ice and Fire, a 3D maze game for Windows 95, Macintosh, and Sony
Aw,
PlayStation.
Adam.
Co-designed with the creators of Tetris, Ice and Fire tells
tell
the
her
story
thank
of a
you.
space station
I'm
attacked by
glad that
vicious
I am an
aliens.
adorable
The aliens
YouTuber.
could
It's
not
what
be
I
defeated,
try.
so everything on the station was simply frozen.
No.
Now, 500 years later, you must explore the station, unfreezing and destroying aliens as you go. Ice and Fire will be available in the third quarter of 1995. Zombie's second title is Locust, a 3D first-person sports game. Locust takes the basic pick up the ball and shove it into the goal concept of many sports games and adds a VR twist.
VR?
Sporting arenas are set inside 3D shapes like spheres, ovoids, and
I hate
ellipsoids.
this.
This creates a continuous 3D environment with no boundaries in which you clash with your opponents on hover cycles to score the most points while avoiding the dangers of the arena. Locust will be available in the third quarter of 95. ZPG, which stands for Zero Population Growth, is an ideal established in the nightmarish future envisioned in this game. Government is broken down and
Like
most
this art
people live in
style.
city-states under the rule of a fascist dictator named Walsh. In response to the problem of overpopulation, Walsh created a series of bioengineered warriors to cull the population. But they did their job a little too well, and Walsh had them eliminated, except for their leader, who was cryogenically frozen in a coffin and launched into orbit. Flash forward to the game's now, where a resistance movement has retrieved and reprogrammed the frozen warrior, played by you, and set him to fight against Walsh's oppressive regime. Like all of Zombie's titles, ZPG will be a first-person action game. Unlike their other titles, they will feature the unique artistic stylings of Aidan Hughes, known for his work on MTV's Liquid Television and the KMFDM video for Drug Against War.
Cool.
Look for ZPG in 1996.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. iMotion. Yes!
iMotion is the American branch of French company Infogrames, best known for the Alone in the Dark series. Alone in the Dark 3 was featured prominently at the E3 booth, starring the ever-ready detective Edward Carnby. In this installment, the old-time Ghostbuster finds himself in the Wild West, fighting his way through a town full of zombies to learn
ZPC
what
is
happened to a
disappointing.
vanished
Aw.
Hollywood film crew. If the look of Alone in the Dark appeals to you, but you don't go in for the macabre atmosphere, then Knight's Chase may be just the game for you.
Okay.
It follows a young law student as he's forced to travel back in time to medieval England to rescue his fiancée. Fortunately, there is no ordinary lawyer to be. He is the reincarnation of one of the Knights of the Round Table. This action-adventure will be available for the PC this October. Prisoner of Ice is the second in iMotion's series based on the stories of H.P. Lovecraft and the Chaosium Inc. Call of Cthulhu game system. The story begins with a daring escape from a secret division of Nazi scientists at the South Pole. From there, the player follows the action all around the world trying to discover the secret of the bizarre creature frozen in a block of ice. From all appearances, this will knock the socks off anyone who is disappointed with Shadow
I
of
don't
the
have
Comet.
any anime games
Prisoner
I've
of
been
Ice
playing
is
lately.
scheduled for an August release. Chaos Control is a fast-moving arcade game with lots of great-looking Japanese animation to tell the story.
Okay.
The player is ace pilot Jessica Darkhill, and she must save the Earth from hordes of invading alien bad guys. If she succeeds in liberating Manhattan, the action shifts to the core of a virtual reality computer where Jessica must destroy a lethal virus. Look for it this July. A4 Networks has undergone a few structural changes since its first winter appearance at CES. It's now called A4 Network CEO, and it features video
CEO.
footage starring James Coburn, but is essentially the same game of financial domination. Analyze market trends and build your transportation resources on a global scale. Mediocrity is
Harmony
unacceptable.
Gold?
Prepare
Who's
to excel
investing in
when
Harmony
A4
Gold?
Network CEO is released this June. Marco Polo takes an obscure movie starring Leonard Nimoy and Burt Lancaster and turns it into a game of exploration and trade. The player travels the legendary Silk Route from the Holy Land to China as a special messenger to the Pope or as a counselor to Kublai Khan. There's also a subtle educational component to this entertaining product and lots of clips from the movie. Look for it this June.
Okay, but what about IBM Multimedia?
You've been buying their computers for years.
I have.
Now IBM wants to start selling you games to play on them. IBM Multimedia Publishing Studio has an ambitious schedule, planning to release 7 games between now and the first quarter of 1996. In Emergency Room, players begin as medical students and progress through 5 stages as they work their way up to Chief of Staff. The game will come with 35 minutes of full-motion video and 3D pictures of the body, including lacerations, burns, and the ever-favorite broken bones.
Yay.
Who said you have to go to medical school to have fun? There's a time element to the CD-ROM release, meaning that players must work quickly and efficiently to earn maximum points before the patient dies. Pro League Baseball will include full team rosters,
don't invest
over
in
40
Harmony
categories
Gold.
of batting stats, over 30 categories of pitching stats, and
I was
8
going to say,
detailed
Disney
ballparks to
actually
play.
ended up.
Players
You can
create
actually
their own
see
teams and
Macross
trade
on
players,
Disney
take on
Plus
the
now
computer,
for some
or play another
reason.
human opponent. Pro
They
League
somehow
Baseball,
got
which
the
will be available
rights.
only on diskette, will also allow for modem play.
I want the Lenny
Quadra
dog.
Command is another CD-ROM action game. This one puts you in command of a space fighter responsible for eliminating the enemy's outposts and military systems in the Quadra system. One small problem has developed. Coming out of hyperspace to check on reports of an enemy battleship, you lost your communication systems and can't contact your outpost. I guess you'll just have to beat the bad guys by yourself.
No.
F-18 No-Fly Zone is a Windows CD-ROM title that puts you in the cockpit of an F-18. Details on this game, which isn't scheduled for release until next year, are skimpy, but the basic thrust is simple to understand. You have to shoot down an enemy pilot before he gets you.
Okay, that's IBM Multimedia. Well, you know what? I'm just going to give us a preview of who else is on here. Ooh, we got some Surtech, though. Let's do Impressions.
Impressions had an impressive assortment of strategy titles on display at E3. First up was Powerhouse, in which you and 3 other competitors go at it for control of the world's 9 energy sources. Through building power plants, researching advanced technology, and what Impressions calls unique elements, which is basically a politically correct term for dirty tricks, you try to expand your empire and crush your competition. Powerhouse should be on store shelves as you view this episode of
You know,
IE.
mitochondria is the
Caesar
powerhouse
2
of the
takes
cell.
the original Caesar and really soups it up. Enhanced graphics, 3D Roman cities, and an easier interface are just some of the improvements made to the original. The gameplay starts you out with a small area of the Roman Empire, which you attempt to expand through financial and military means. This means taking on the Gauls, Huns, and even the Carthaginians with their battle elephants. Caesar 2 should be available in September. Another Impressions sequel is Breach 3, the continuation of Breach 2. You are
Breach
a squad
3, the
leader in
continuation of
Federated
Breach
World's
2
Army
is a
assigned
terrible
to
name.
various
I
combat
fucking love
missions
it.
which occur in real time. You give your troops orders and watch the results.
Super
Tree
Babies.
structured
Baby
campaigns
Geniuses
contain
2,
up
a
to
continuation of
511
Baby Geniuses
scenarios
1.
in which you go against aliens, robots, and marauders. Breach 3 features individual marine personalities, a mission and campaign builder, speech on CD-ROM versions, and more. Breach 3 should be available now. Spacebucks is based on Impression's earlier title Airbucks, except for the fact that
Airbucks.
you're flying a little higher. You compete against 3 other opportunists to control the shipping and trading lanes of the galaxy through designing and building ships, acquiring land rights, and running cargo and passengers across the galaxy. Establish your trading lanes and then protect them from pirates in order to become the most powerful trading entity in the universe. Look for Spacebucks in the fall of '95. Casino Deluxe is a value-priced title which takes you on a gambling adventure. The 7 games available include blackjack, slots, Pai Gow Poker, Caribbean Stud, craps, roulette, and video poker. Great graphics and sound effects are big selling points of Casino Deluxe, which should already be on shelves. Civil War is an Impressions title which puts you in the middle of, what else, the Civil War. A turn-based X-style
the
game,
Civil
War will
War.
use an overhauled Frontlines engine. Details were sketchy at E3, but look for it early next year.
All right. Let's have some interactive magic.
Interactive Magic, the new game company led by
Wow,
Microprose
another
co-founder
strategy
Bill
game.
Steely, announced
Sorry,
plans for
that's
3 new
not
titles
unfair.
at E3. The first of these is War Patrol, a submarine simulation from Alliance Interactive Software, the same company that worked on the original Harpoon series. War Patrol will be set in the Pacific theater of World War II between 1941 and 1945. The game will feature over 40 missions, and the players will get the choice of commanding either an American or Japanese patrol. This CD-ROM game will ship for both Windows and Macintosh and is scheduled for release in September. Star Rangers, a CD-ROM action strategy game set for release by Christmas, holds a special place in the heart of Steely since it's developed in the tradition of Atari's Star Raiders, the first computer game that Steely ever played. In Star Rangers, you're a member of an intergalactic border patrol in the 23rd century. Since you're out on the fringe of the galaxy, your main task is keeping alien forces at bay. Digital Integration, the UK-based company that provided interactive magic with its first title, Apache, is back with F-16 Fighting Falcon. The PC CD-ROM title is a flight sim based on the U.S. Air Force F-16C. Like Apache, you'll be able to leap right in at the arcade level or adjust the difficulty level to get the experience of piloting a jet fighter. The game will also offer a multiplayer feature which will allow up to 8 players in 2 teams to compete via network or modem. Finally, Interactive
Doug
Magic's
IRL,
long-awaited
we are-
strategy game Exploration
we are
should be in your
interactive
local
entertaining it
software
up.
store as you view this report. Developed by Software 2000 of Germany, Exploration is based on the discovery of the New World. You can play one of 5 explorers, from Christopher
Jump
Columbus
scare.
to Vasco da Gama, or you can create your own. The timeline of the game runs from the discovery of the New World to the French Revolution.
Okay. Interplay.
Interplay's
that?
biggest announcement at E3 was the unveiling of their new VR sports division. Under this imprint, they plan to release a series of sports games using 3D texture-mapped players, multiple camera angles, and motion capture. The first title in this series, VR Sports Baseball 95, will feature real players, teams, statistics, and carefully modeled ballparks. Baseball will be released in the third quarter of 95, to be followed soon after by basketball and hockey. Large sections of Frankenstein Through the Eyes of the Monster were complete and
Yeah,
playable
Through
at
the
the
Eyes
show.
of the Monster.
In case you missed our cover story in episode 11,
That's a classic.
Frankenstein is a retelling of the classic resurrection story by Mary Shelley from the creature's point of view. Playing as the monster, you explore Frankenstein's fully rendered castle, interact with the demented doctor portrayed superbly by the suitably twisted Tim Curry, and attempt to solve the mystery of life you lived before your revival. Look for Frankenstein in the third quarter. Close on the heels of Frankenstein comes Interplay's next stab at a full-motion video product, Netrunner. Set in a dystopian near future described by the developers as resembling A Clockwork Orange, this high-tech thriller tells the story of the son of a cyberspace revolutionary. In this
I like
cyberpunk
the
Robin Hood
Skeleton
story,
Club.
you control this ambitious rebel in his fight for freedom from electronic
I like
slavery.
the Skeleton Club
Following
a lot. That
Netrunner,
wouldn't exist
a licensed
nowadays
full-motion
because of
video
rent.
action-adventure game based on the motion picture Waterworld. Flight Sim fans will be glad to hear of the imminent release of Mission Studios' Jet Fighter 3. Set in the near future, you fly an F-22 for a UN peacekeeping task force through missions set in Cuba and South America. Jet Fighter 3 features some of the most advanced terrain rendering ever seen in a flight
Yeah,
simulator.
they just kind of mentioned
Holding down
Waterworld at the
role-playing
end and
front
never
are
went on
Stone
with
Keep and
it.
Dungeon
What the
Master
hell?
2. While they are similar in that both are first-person role-playing games, there are substantial differences between them. Stonekeep integrates the latest cutting-edge multimedia technology into its game design, featuring a high-tech, uncluttered approach. Dungeon Master 2, on the other hand, takes a more traditional icon-based approach. Both are scheduled to ship in the third quarter, marking the end of a 3-year development cycle for Stonekeep. Latest in a wave of games based on the colonization of the New World, Conquest of the New World represents the culmination of designer Vince DiNardo's wish to create a strategy game which strongly emphasizes power politics. In Conquest, you may choose to play an explorer from one of 4 European nations or create your own. Each nation has a preset tendency towards certain types of behavior and receives bonus points for completing activities of that type. On the isometric 3D map, you move your units around and build new structures in traditional 4X fashion. To resolve conflicts with other players, you resort to playing a chess-like tactical game, which has proven so popular among playtesters that the final version of the game will let you play the tactical segment independent of the strategy game.
Okay.
Look for Conquest in the third quarter of 1995. And last but not least, Interplay's press materials were abuzz with word of Descent 2.0, although it was decided at the last minute not to show the game at E3.
Boo.
However, we do know that it's tentatively scheduled for a third quarter release, and that it will contain more levels and more monsters. Watch this space for future developments.
Okay. You know what? I think we'll do one more before we go to intermission. Let's see what Koei is up to.
Koei was strong
Koei,
on strategy
sorry.
adventure titles at E3, with the first release this summer scheduled to be Celtic Tales: Balor of the Evil Eye. Based on the mythology of the early Celtic tribes of Ireland, Celtic Tales puts the player in the position of the leader of one of the tribes. The tribe must recruit and train heroes, and capture and develop provinces until the land can be rid of the evil Balor. Celtic Tales is a role-playing adventure including bards, druids, warriors, magic spells, and more, which should already be available at your local software store. Romance of the Three Kingdoms 4 Wall of Fire sets the player as the ruler of a kingdom in China against 2 other competing kingdoms. It's up to the player to unify all 3 kingdoms through diplomatic and military means. Including over 550 different officers, 38 different rulers, and full-motion video, Romance can support up to 8 players. Expect Romance to be out in October. New Horizons, the sequel to Uncharted Waters, is being released.
Cool mermaids.
Playing one of 6 heroes, the player must seek out treasures, build a fleet, duel against enemies, and more. Depending on the hero that is chosen, the ultimate goal changes, so one hero may be out to discover Atlantis, while another is out to destroy the Spanish Armada. More than 130 destinations are included to visit and explore, while a fully orchestrated soundtrack underscores the adventure. New Horizons should be available in stores now. PTO 2 will be available this fall. The sequel to PTO, this military strategy release puts the player in the Pacific at the beginning of World War II. Controlling either the American or Japanese forces, the action starts at Pearl Harbor and is an all-out war to the end. 2 players can compete against each other for added challenge. PTO 2 should be available in December.
All right, I think that's enough for before intermission. Man, there's a lot in this issue. All right, so we're going to go to break here real quick. We've got more didgeridoo. I know you're all didgeridoo heads, so we've got more of that. I'll be back in about 10 minutes with the rest of Interactive Entertainment issue 15. See you then. Bye-bye.
From quiet to loud and back to quiet again. This might be a little tricky, not as bad as circular breathing, but still a challenge that might take a few tries to get. These techniques deserve quite a lot of attention because different didgeridoos will respond quite differently depending on their shape and your vocal qualities. So try both high falsetto notes, low notes, and everything in between. The second use of the voice is to mimic animals. In traditional Aboriginal society, the animals of Australia are very important and are often the topic of songs and dances. A good Australian didgeridoo player is a master at mimicking all sorts of animal sounds, from dingoes This is, of course, achieved by barking and howling into the didgeridoo, to kookaburras, this is achieved by laughing into the didgeridoo, frogs, which is done with a croaking sound, crickets chirping. This is done by trilling the tongue on the top of your mouth while you sing a high pitch. And just about any other animal you can think of. I do find it odd, however, that so many non-Aboriginal didgeridoo players, many of whom don't even live in Australia, spend so much time and effort learning how to mimic Australian animals. I would like to suggest it would be more traditional for the didgeridoo player to imitate animals in their own environment. Here, the instrument opens a way for you to become closer to your own surroundings. One animal I like to imitate is the crow or raven. And for me, instead of a dingo, a beagle, my own personal favorite howling hound, seems to work equally well. Use your imagination. If you're an urban didgeridoo player, try a few cars, taxi honks, whatever you can think of. One non-vocalized imitation that is common in Australia is the kangaroo. Since kangaroos don't make too many vocalized sounds, the kangaroo is imitated by their long, bounding leaps. Think of your best bouncing sound, boing, 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 and translate that mouth movement to the didgeridoo, and it should sound something like this. Also remember that imitations on the didgeridoo do not always have to be literal. It is often good practice to try to capture moods or interpretations of scenes or animal movements without trying to make it a caricature. So keep on practicing, and I'll see you on side 2. Welcome to side 2, where we'll be exploring more advanced didgeridoo playing techniques. The longer you play, the sooner you'll realize that the best teacher you have is the instrument itself. Each didgeridoo has its own lessons to teach you, and it's important to relax and let the didgeridoo lead you to where it plays best. So on this side of the recording, I'll be playing various didgeridoos, and I encourage you to play as many types of didgeridoos as you can. Whenever you encounter a new didgeridoo, try to give it a blow, because the more you play, the better you'll be. First, let's explore some new techniques in the areas of rhythm, harmonics, and vocalizations before we try putting them all together. Let's start out with circular breathing again. Instead of a smooth circular breath, try a bounce breath. Here, you're just using the air in your lungs and bouncing it through your buzzing lips. It would sound like this. Ha ha, ha ha, ha ha, ha ha, ha ha, ha ha. On the didgeridoo, it goes like this. Of course, you can vary this by doing triple bounces. Ha ha ha, 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 ha ha ha. The variations are endless. If you really want to challenge yourself and improve your circular breathing, you can do continuous sniff breaths with only a small exhalation of air between each one. It would sound like and creates quite a firm rhythmic effect, which sounds like this. Some of these techniques are rather difficult and might take quite a bit of practice to master. And remember, if you ever feel faint or dizzy during any of these circular breathing exercises, stop playing before you fall over. Now we will move on to tonguing. We've already learned a few basic tonguing techniques. Now we will move on to double and triple tonguing. To double tongue, instead of saying ta ta ta, say tucka tucka tucka. This technique allows you to play incredibly fast rhythmic passages. Start out very slowly, trying to make the ka sound every bit as defined as the ta sound. Start out about this speed. Tucka tucka tucka. And slowly increase your speed. Sharp definition is the key to this tonguing style. A rhythmic variation is the triple tongue. Instead of saying tucka tucka, say tucka ta tucka ta tucka ta tucka ta, which brings out triplets instead of the duple meter. Again, start slowly, tucka ta tucka ta tucka ta, and increase your speed. Both double and triple tonguing are hard techniques to master. The beginner usually has trouble defining the notes and making each one sound clearly. This may take some time to get, but is well worth the effort. Now let's move on to the overtone. One way to help you get your very short overtone.
I'm back. I'm back. And now you know about tonguing. Delightful. All right, we're moving on. We got a lot of E3 to go through. I actually might not get through this whole disc, this stream. I might have to cut this up into a second stream. But let's see what Legend's up to.
The big news at Legend Entertainment is the acquisition of several best-selling fantasy and science fiction licenses. This will allow the creation of games based on the unique worlds of world-renowned authors like Terry Brooks, Robert Jordan, Piers Anthony, Spider Robinson, Jack Chalker, Alan Dean Foster, and Frederick Pohl. The marketing campaign will bill these games as the best of all possible worlds. Expect products in the near future based on the Heechee Saga, The Wheel of Time, Pip and Flinks, Well World, and Callahan's Cross Time Saloon. Deathgate is one of the first games made possible through this acquisition. Based on Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss's best-selling series of novels, this sharp SVGA adventure gives the player the job of reuniting a world split into 5 parts. This product was reviewed in Episode 9 of IE. The next fantasy world to be adapted by Legend is the world of Terry Brooks' genre novels. They're the most popular fantasy series in the world, and genre of the game will take place between the first 2 books. Brana, the ancient warlock king, has returned, and his evil spirit now roams free as the legendary Sword of Shannara lies shattered in pieces. The player must restore the sword and imprison Brana forever. Like Deathgate, Shannara will feature beautiful SVGA graphics with even more animations. Shannara will be available for the PC in November. Legend is also hard at work on the sequel to their best-selling Companions of Xanth. Demon Xanth struck a deal with the king promising that magic would remain in the land as long as his sleep is undisturbed. But the demon is starting to wake again as the land of Xanth comes under attack by the notorious Doppelganger.
Holy shit!
The Magic of Xanth is, of course, based on the seemingly unending series of novels by Piers Anthony and will be available for the PC in March of '96. Mission Critical is a science fiction game bound to set new graphic standards in the industry and certainly for Legend. This will be the first Legend game with any celebrity involvement and will star Michael Dorn from Star Trek The Next Generation and Patricia Charbonneau from K2 and RoboCop 2. This disturbing story begins with the player having to single-handedly fight off an enemy fleet and progresses to an alien world where the very place of mankind on the evolutionary ladder is called into question. Mission Critical will hit the shelves this fall.
I'm just thinking about the Horseman.
Magic Interactive is pretty serious
it's
about
this
making
game!
mold-breaking games. Icebreaker combines an abstract
Icebreaker!
puzzle structure with 3D
Holy shit,
graphics
it's
and a
Icebreaker,
terrain that
Chad!
takes some time to cover. You
Where's
have control of
Murphy?
the white pyramid, and you have to clear the level of enemies. The blue pyramids must be run over, and the red ones must be shot. Some of the stationary green ones are camouflage for the deadly moving pyramids, which must be shot or they will attack you. Icebreaker will be available for Windows and 3DO in the fall, and Macintosh in early '96. Remember that great arcade game Rampage? Monster Island does it one better.
No
the
way
player
this
gets
came
to choose
out.
which giant monster he wants to be.
No
then
way
gets
this
the
came
pleasure
out.
of destroying city after city, but this time the monsters are beautifully rendered and the city is in 3D. As with Rampage, Monster Island requires more strategy than you might think. Keep eating to keep your strength up because eventually the attacks of the military do start to sting. Other monsters will occasionally come down trying to take over your
I don't
city.
know if this got
There's
released. It
even
seems
8-player
too
network
good.
capability. Prepare to crush, crumble, and chomp when Monster Island hits the shelves for Windows 95 this winter. On Space Station Blue Star, humans and dolphins work together on the most ambitious scientific projects of the century. The player is Abacus, a dolphin
What?
scientist. You and your colleagues struggle to unlock the
You
secrets
play
of
as
the
a
mind
dolphin
amidst the spreading of
scientist?
conflict and conspiracy. The rendered visuals are nothing short of incredible, and the plot line is quite unpredictable. Blue Star will probably stretch beyond the traditional computer game market. It will be available for Windows this winter and for 3DO and Mac
Blue
sometime later.
Star.
And just when you think Magnet might be a kinder, gentler company, they send you to hell. Virtual hell, that is. It's a CD-ROM adventure based on the demented universe of Clive Barker's Hellraiser movies. Match wits with Pinhead and
This
his
didn't
7
come out
apostles
right. This
in their
definitely
dominion
feels
of pain,
like
desire, and temptation, and fight
vaporware.
to save the innocent from eternal damnation. The game terrain stretches from the infinite reaches of the global net to the sulfurous catacombs of the dead. Prepare
I just
for the
assumed
worst
this
in the
didn't come
first
out. I have
quarter
no
of
clue if it did or
96.
not. Magnet with a lot of games that are either really good or really stupid. All right, what's Merritt up to?
Merritt had one of the more unsettling displays at E3 with the
All right,
showing of a
Monster
demo
Island's
of their
not on,
forthcoming shock horror
Moby
game,
Games.
Harvester.
Okay.
Harvester presents
Harvester,
a disturbing
folks.
vision of the town of Harvest, featuring appalling violence and very explicit graphics rivaling anything in horror movies today. It
That's
left
just
some
what
folks
clowns look
disgusted
like.
while others went away with a devilish little grin on their faces. Combining aspects of role-playing and arcade action, the long-awaited Harvester is being promoted as the most horrific computer game ever designed. Look for it this September.
Okay.
On a much lighter note, World Hockey 95
And
has been
also
released,
hockey.
featuring full-motion
No
video
evil clowns in
sequences
this
on the
one,
CD-ROM
just regular
version.
hockey
World
guys.
Hockey 95 allows players to train for the upcoming season, create their own
They
leagues,
didn't
edit team
do
stats,
any of those
even
other
change the
good-looking
rules to
games.
suit your
Poor
taste.
Magnet.
A
Rip
coach mode has
Magnet.
also been included if you want to just watch your team perform under your leadership. World Hockey 95 should already be available. Cyber Judas, the sequel
Yes,
to
I
Shadow
played
President,
this.
is
I
due to
played
be
this.
released this summer. This political
I
thriller
streamed
will
this.
feature 3
I'm pointing
different
at the
scenarios.
screen like
in the first,
meme.
you're both president and prey, for it seems that one of your cabinet members is out to put an end to you in whatever way he can. The second lets you run the presidency while all of your cabinet members compete for power and try to further their own aspirations and agendas. The third scenario is a world simulator in which you make decisions affecting events all over the globe. This time, none of your close advisors in the cabinet is trying any funny stuff. Cyber Judas will include 3D SGI-generated graphics, digital sound and voice, and interactive gameplay, making each game unique and non-linear. Cyber Judas should already be released as you view this episode of IE. Flying Tigers is a flight combat sim that lets you take part in the incredible missions of the Tigers during the early days of World War II. You're in the cockpit of a P-40 over the skies of Burma, and your mission is to help the Chinese Air Force against the Japanese. Using information from the
Yeah, I think
archives of the
someone should
members
pick
of
up
the
the
actual
scientist
Flying
dolphin
Tigers,
idea.
the missions included will be based on the actual ones flown by the Tigers. Shooting for the most accurate simulation
I know it's
possible,
not being flown by
Flying
real
Tigers
tigers,
should
so
be
I'm
in stores
pissed off.
sometime in October.
Okay, let's go to Microprose. No, I know.
Microprose's biggest news continued to be the imminent release of Magic: The Gathering. However, they did have a number of new titles on display, and at least one major new title alluded to which wasn't on display. One interesting development from the popular strategy game company is that all of their upcoming titles will be CD-ROM only, and all of them but XCOM are planned to run under Windows instead of DOS. Microprose revealed tentative preliminary details of XCOM The Apocalypse, the newest title in the XCOM series. In The Apocalypse, aliens from another dimension are taking over the bodies of citizens of the city of Megapolis. You control a group of agents that must root out the alien cult and smash their latest invasion plans. Unlike the previous XCOM games, parts of the game are randomly generated at the onset to ensure maximum replayability. The Apocalypse will also be the first XCOM game to support multiplayer. Also in the multiplayer vein is CivNet. This online version of the classic strategy game is nearing completion and will finally allow you to play Civ head-to-head with your
Chop
friends
Suey
by
is a game
modem,
I've been meaning
LAN,
to show
or the
off. It's
internet.
very interesting.
CivNet will allow you to keep up to 8 windows open
Shit,
at
I
once
should add that
and
to
will
my
use the
list.
WinG graphics library to provide lightning-fast screen updates. A new title Microprose is betting will revolutionize wargaming is This Means War. The designers of This Means War are hoping that the game will appeal to people who are interested in war games but not interested in counting hexes. The goal for This Means War to have a toy soldiers feel that should attract new gamers to the genre. Set in a post-apocalyptic near future, the game involves resource management, unit building, and military conquest set on an isometric game map reminiscent of Populous or SimCity 2000. By building up your army forces and conducting successful campaigns, you
Rank.
can defeat the 7 enemy
Peon.
military leaders and take over the world. This means war. If you've often thought to yourself, there just aren't enough games out there where human sacrifice is an important part of the gameplay,
Cool blood.
then Aztec Empire of Blood may be the game for you.
I'm
In
these
this
guys in the
historical
back just being
strategy
like,
game,
oof.
you play the role of one of the Aztec Empire's great emperors. Through economic manipulation and military conquest, you must unite the Aztecs under your rule. Described
Monster
by
Island never
Microprose
came
as
out. That's so
reminiscent of
sad.
pirates, Vikings puts you in the role of a Norse, Swedish, or Danish explorer in medieval Europe. Given the subject matter, expect lots of plundering and pillaging as you travel the length and breadth of Europe searching for fame and fortune. Vikings will feature strategic ground combat as well as sea battles
Aztec
and
didn't come
land-based
out
exploration
either?
and conquest.
No!
In their
all the
only
games
new
I want
title,
to play
which isn't
didn't
a
come
strategy game,
out.
Microprose is hopping on the go-kart bandwagon. Virtual Karts is a go-kart racing simulation featuring a fully texture-mapped 3D polygon engine running under Super VGA. You can choose practice mode or single or championship races playing against computer opponents or other humans via network. You can customize your kart and, during a race, view the action from any angle.
Oh, any angle. Mindscape, what's up?
Mindscape had a lot going at E3. With their Warhammer series of products, sports titles, and sci-fi action adventures, the company is going to be extremely active between now and the end of the year. Look for the biggest splash from Mindscape's Warhammer series. The first release will be a battle strategy
Cool.
game simply titled Warhammer. Based on the Warhammer miniatures battle system, the player is a mercenary commander who begins with a small group and through a series of missions attempts to gather more money, hire more mercenaries for his group, and advance further through a non-linear storyline. Look for Warhammer in the fall of '95.
Okay.
The second Warhammer release will be the first-person shooter Warhammer 40,000 Dark Crusaders. Taking place in the Warhammer 40k universe, the player takes command of a platoon of soldiers from the chapter of Dark Angels to destroy all of the evil orcs that have taken over the Imperial base.
Did they really
With the
pass on
storyline taking the
Warcraft?
player from planet to planet, Dark Crusaders
Aw.
gives the player the ability to command other soldiers in a Doom-like environment. Dark Crusader boasts advanced graphic capabilities featuring curved wall surfaces and resolutions up to
They
1280
got
by
curved
1024.
walls.
Warhammer 40k Dark Crusaders will be hitting the stores at the end of '95. NCAA football is coming out for Windows 95, featuring advanced graphics and multiple degrees of interaction. Motion data has been recorded from actual players in real football situations, then rendered into 3D graphics for each player in the game. The viewing angle will be movable to different locations on the field as well as the stadium, and the player will be able to use the different camera perspectives when using instant replay. Players will have complete control of the strategy element, as NCAA football's difficulty will range from simply starting up the game and playing immediately, up to designing and testing your own plays. Look for it in October.
Okay.
Also in the sports genre, Al Unser Jr. Arcade Racing will be zooming into stores this July. The title itself should give you a good idea of how this one plays.
This is cool, but
It's
this
not
car
so
should be
much a
driven by an
simulation as it
intelligent
is an
dolphin
arcade racing game.
scientist.
This will give the player fast and easy racing action with nice graphics and not a lot of details to worry with. Network play will also be supported for head-to-head play. The folks at Cryo, who developed Mega Race and Dragon Lore for Mindscape, have created the Raven Project. Incredible graphics and intense action highlight this one, as aliens invade the Earth and you're the one called upon to stop them. The player will be treated to live-action video and an involved storyline as the race is on to protect humanity. The Raven project is due out in November. The Aliens craze comes to the PC in the aptly titled Aliens.
Aliens!
Based on the Dark Horse comic, which is in turn based on the movie, Aliens takes place on a distant outpost where the population is falling victim to the alien menace. Your job, should you decide to buy the game, is to wipe out the threat. Gritty and dark like
Cool
the comic,
Alien
hits the stores in November. Mindscape was also showing their flight adventure role-playing game Air Power Battle for the Skies. The player takes on the role of a competitor for the throne of a small European monarchy, incorporating elements of strategy and role-playing into battles in the sky in aircraft that must be seen to be believed. Air Power is due for release this fall. The next generation of the Chessmaster series is coming out in the form of Chessmaster 5000, which features enhancements in usability, teaching, and game analysis. This new version of Chessmaster is specially designed to take advantage of the 32-bit graphic capabilities of 486 and higher machines, specially optimized for play on Pentiums. Chessmaster 5000 is set to be out in September.
Okay, New World?
New World Computing had their E3 booth stuffed with something for everyone. From sword and sorcery to science fiction to card games, New World will be hitting the shelves hard from now until Christmas. The first title out of the gate will be Multimedia Celebrity Poker featuring Jonathan Frakes,
Multimedia
Morgan
Celebrity
Fairchild, and Joe
Poker! This is a
Piscopo.
classic!
You pick the game,
a
wild cards,
classic,
and chip
classic
denominations
game.
as you play along with thousands of full-motion video clips of the 3 stars.
Oh, I lost my mind. It's my
Celebrity
favorite.
Poker is
Yes.
a budget-priced title that should already be in stores. Heroes of Might and Magic is a
Wow,
fantasy war
okay,
game in which
look
players
at
use
how
resource
high-res
management
this
as well as
mustache man
combat to
is.
conquer their world, while 3
Look at him.
computer-controlled
He's so
enemies attempt to conquer it
high-res.
themselves. With over 24 types of bad guys, SVGA graphics, and indefinite replayability, expect Heroes of Might and Magic sometime in August.
It is
Metal
a wolf
Lords,
in the
Inner
party.
Circle, created by Simtax, the same folks who brought you Master of Orion and Master of Magic, is a futuristic strategy game in which the player competes against other nobles trying to become Duke of the Empire. The player will have to design battle machines, create technology, practice diplomacy, and more to become ruler. This game has been previewed in IE as MechLords, but hey, we all know that Activision owns the word mech and all that it stands for. Metal Lords should be released in September. Also due out in September is the cinematic adventure Wetlands. Featuring incredible animation sequences, Wetlands takes the player through a futuristic world in which a madman who has the ability to destroy entire planets has escaped the authorities and must be recaptured. Fast and furious arcade action is coupled with cinematic storytelling to create the world of Wetlands. Lovers of classic battle strategy will be happy to hear that Empire 2 is nearing completion. A game of micromanagement on the battlefield, Empire 2 is being packed with a scenario editor, allowing the player to create their own scenarios or modify any of the existing ones. With SVGA graphics,
I would make a scenario where it would be me versus the state of Utah.
To the Empire engine, including unit stacking, morale, fatigue, and more.
I would take over all the soda shops.
For late September, early October release. The developers of Ravenloft and Menzo Berranzan have been at it again, the result being Anvil of Dawn, a new role-playing game in which the player must defeat a dark warlord who's taking over the world. Featuring real-time combat, which still gives the player the ability to think about their next move. Anvil of Dawn has over 100 characters and monster types, a random map generator, a fully orchestrated soundtrack, and of course, lots of puzzles and traps. Look for Anvil of Dawn in the stores in October.
Nova Spring, what you got for us?
Vic Takai's new division, Nova Spring, continues their bold move into the PC gaming industry.
I said that so loud I echoed.
You control an anti-terrorist SWAT team out to rescue a group of hostages. Your group is armed with the best weapons and technology that money can buy, but your adversaries are as prepared as you are.
Yes.
The 3D visuals are reminiscent of XCOM. The deadline is fall '95. Sign of the Sun combines Mayan history with bizarre science fiction to create a very unusual premise. The story begins with an astronaut crashing into the sun. That might seem like the end of a story, but it turns out that the flames of the sun mask a whole planet underneath, complete with a civilization called the Phyrons. This is not as lucky a break for our hero as you might think, since they want to subject him to painful experiments. How does he get away? And what do the Mayans have to do with any of this? You'll find out this November. In Arc of Time, the player is an investigative reporter trying to solve the mystery of a world-famous archaeologist's disappearance. As you travel the world facing danger and intrigue, you receive messages leading you further along the trail. Ports of call include Stonehenge, the Bermuda Triangle, Easter Island, basically all the really cool
Sign
weird
of the
places.
Sun did come out good.
This self-proclaimed epic will hit the shelves in December. Alien Virus 2: The Hidden Agenda continues the adventures of Joshua as he fights the title entity. The nodes spread throughout the galaxies and cyber troops battle to regain control for officialdom. One man threatens cybersecurity and Joshua is called in to find him. It soon becomes clear that he has been set up by the authorities. AV2 will contain the same excellent visual style as the original and will be available in early '96.
And what's Ocean up to?
Ocean has
Probably
a
a bunch of
slew of new
bullshit.
releases scheduled over the next 12 months, 11 to be exact,
11?
with their most visible releases in the air and on the sea. TFX EF2000, the sequel to TFX Tactical Fighter Experiment, is being put together by England's Digital Image Design, the same company that brought you the recent release Inferno. DID does have experience in the area of flight sim, and they're using it in this new title, which is based on the Eurofighter 2000, a plane which is still presently under design. DID was given access to the aircraft's plans by British Aerospace, one of its builders,
I wonder what happened to
and the
Nova.
planned October release of the CD-ROM title will give gamers a chance to fly the simulation long before the actual plane takes to the air. Waterworld, the upcoming Kevin Costner Megabucks picture, has been licensed to Ocean for release later this year for the Sega Saturn. Like the movie, the game is set in a future without dry land. Hopefully, Ocean will avoid going as far over budget with the game as Costner has with the movie. Blades of Rage, a helicopter sim set for release in the fourth
Blades
quarter
of
of this year on
Rage!
CD-ROM and the Sony PlayStation, puts the player a few years into the future where chaos reigns, the chances for world peace seem slim, and the company you work for is one of the few honest operations around. The game will offer 6 custom choppers and weapon systems. Lobo, a 3D fighter for 1 or 2 players on CD-ROM and the PlayStation, is licensed from the comic strip. You'll be in charge of real-time polygonal figures in a 3D, fully interactive
Did the Lobo
environment.
game come out?
Offensive is a strategic command game featuring
The Lobo
various
game didn't
historical
come
battles
out.
from
Okay,
World
that's
War
what
II,
I thought.
the Napoleonic Wars, and the American Civil War. You take orders from your command post and must manage to complete missions with a set inventory of food, weapons, and soldiers. Look for the game on CD-ROM, PlayStation, and Saturn in the fourth quarter of this year. Roll Cage is a 3D racing game that will allow up to 6 players to compete against each other on a network. Plans call for up to 20 courses and 10 different vehicles. The games should be out on floppy, CD-ROM, PlayStation, and Saturn in the third quarter of
prototype
this
came
year.
out and
in
it
Sea
sucks.
Legend, you're a young
Beautiful.
hero searching for
God,
your
I
uncle.
love to
Good
hear
news
it.
is you find him. The bad news is he's dead, with the only clue a mysterious message referring to the power of the earring. That sets the stage for this one-player adventure, which is scheduled to ship in the third quarter of this year on floppy and CD-ROM. If you've ever been called a worm, and what man hasn't, the strategy adventure title Worms may be right up your alley. Up to 4 platoons of 4 worms can fight it out over a number of different levels with a dizzying array of weapons. The game, scheduled for release in the third quarter of this year on floppy, CD-ROM, PlayStation, and Saturn, is set to ship with a multiplayer option for up to 16 different players. Death Race, set for release in the fourth quarter of this year on CD-ROM and PlayStation, looks to be a little more
I
than
don't
a
think this
simple
Worms
racing
got
game.
anywhere. Probably
You're a
never
Death
came
Race
out. No
driver,
one's heard
the
of it.
most popular form of entertainment on your planet, which is dominated by a huge conglomerate. You'll use your popularity as a driver to help end the tyranny and save your world. Also on Ocean's release schedule, Allegiance, a first-person strategy action game that puts you in the middle of international
love Worms
espionage,
Armageddon.
terrorism, and a major South American drug cartel. And vanished powers, an adventure that puts the player in a mystical Middle Ages setting on a futuristic planet.
Okay, Ocean. Let's see how much we got left here. Hold on. Okay, we're hang in there, folks. We're almost done with E3.
The word from Origin at the E3 show was action.
Action.
This is appropriate not only because the company is just beginning to shoot film footage for Wing Commander 4, but because all of their upcoming releases strongly emphasize action. If third-person isometric overhead views are what excite you, keep an eye out for Crusader No Remorse. Originally intended as a simple action game based on the Ultima 8 engine, Crusader has evolved beyond that and become an enthralling product in its own right. In Crusader, you play a silencer, a member of an elite enforcer corps working for the corrupt Big Brotherish World Economic Consortium. Plagued by your guilty conscience, you switch sides and join the Resistance. Unfortunately, the Resistance isn't utterly convinced that your loyalties have changed, so you must complete a series of tougher and tougher missions to persuade them. Crusader will include a dozen missions with mission briefings in the form of digitized video. If, on the other hand, you're more enthusiastic about first-person action games, you may be more interested in Cybermage Dark Light Awakening. This first-person action adventure puts you in the shoes of a superhero battling your opponents with a combination of superpowers and weapons in a grim, distant future. In the course of the plot, you are drawn into a series of conflicts between rival corporations and culminating in a showdown with the leader of the evil forces, who just happens to have superpowers similar to your own. This game will ship with the first series of comic books released on the adventures of the Cybermage, with following issues available on the newsstand.
Okay,
Origin also unveiled their
Cybermage
first
comic
3D-only release, Prowler. This robotic battle simulation will put you in the pilot seat of a giant fighting robot. As the commander of the Terran Robotic Infantry, you must defend your homeworld against the offenses of the immortal Illumin. When you succeed in your missions, you're given new mission options as well as cash which you can use to upgrade your Prowler. Prowler will feature a complex simulation engine which models the physics of the vehicles, with all of the objects in the game rendered by a sophisticated polygon modeler and texture mapper. There are no plans to bring Prowler to the PC platform, although ports to the PlayStation and Sega Saturn are planned. Finally, perhaps the hottest piece of news from Origin concerns the next game in the popular Wing Commander series. Wing 4 will feature an all-new storyline, but no major changes are planned for the gameplay engine from Wing 3. The live-action sequences of Wing 4 are presently being filmed at Renmar Studios in Hollywood.
Ooh,
Returning
Renmar
cast from Heart of
Studios.
Tiger include Malcolm McDowell, Tom Wilson,
I want the Kilrathi
Jason
suit
Bernard,
too.
and reprising the
Imagine
role of Colonel
going to your
Christopher
local
Blair,
fur con with
Mark
the
Hamill.
Kilrathi suit. All right,
As a Sony
Psygnosis.
subsidiary, it's not a great surprise that Psygnosis is putting every gun it has behind the PlayStation. For the conceivable future, it seems that PC games are going to be sitting in the back seat as far as the OWL guys are concerned. The Broderman Classic Mist is scheduled for PSX release on September 1st. It's a game of exploration through a world of exquisite graphics and well-hidden clues to your survival. Psygnosis is
never
also
heard of
porting a
it.
couple of their own recent PC successes to the PlayStation. For arcade enthusiasts, Nova Storm gives you a fast-paced outer space shootout with ultra-sharp graphics. Fans of British comedy will enjoy Discworld, an adventure based on the best-selling fantasy novels of Terry Pratchett and featuring the voices of Monty Python's Eric Idle, Doctor Who's John Pertwee, and Blackadder's Tony Robinson. Both of these titles will be available for the PlayStation on September 1. But lest we assume that Psygnosis is just one big recycling facility, they've also got a slew of new games for the PSX and the PC. Destruction Derby is the only racing game where reckless driving pays. Sure, getting to the finish line is important, but you want to take out as many of your opponents as possible in the process. Of course, there's some major graphic and sound payoffs for those collisions, including sparks, exploding debris, and smoke. You'll be able to climb into the driver's seat on October 30th on both the PlayStation and the PC. Since they're not affiliated with Activision, Psygnosis is not allowed to use the word mech for their upcoming battle armor title, Crazy Ivan. But we, being a magazine, can say it as often as we want. Mech, 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 mech. Crazy Ivan lets you charge through the frozen wastes of Siberia in a big ol' honkin' mech, okay? It's all 3D with Garou shading and texture mapping, and the M word is nowhere to be found, whether you play it on the PC or the PlayStation. It'll be out September 1. Mech. Lemmings 3D takes your
Lemmings
favorite
3D.
suicidal buddies to a whole new dimension. Those green-haired goofballs are back, and they can turn corners now. If you thought the old flat puzzlers were tricky, just wait till you've seen the world through the eyes of a virtual lemming. Look for this excellent twist on the old classic to hit the
Excellent,
shelves on
huh?
September 1st for the PC and PlayStation. If you really like tank combat but are sick of the same old terrain and physics limitations, Assault Rigs will give you a chance to duke it out in cyberspace. Set in the WorldNet Championships of the future, you get to pick up weapons, power-ups, upgradable vehicles, and... okay,
You think they'll even
basically,
mention
we're talking
Wipeout?
about the tanks from the movie Tron. But they were really cool, and this probably will be too. It'll be out for the PC and PlayStation
Yeah,
on
Lemmings
September
3D
1st.
is not very
In
good.
Parasite, you're an ordinary guy who gets possessed by an alien law enforcer, hot on the trail of, illegal aliens. But the longer this interplanetary TJ hooker is inside you, the more your body mutates. So you'd better help him solve the case quickly before your dog doesn't even recognize you. This futuristic film noir will be released for the PC and, you guessed it, the PlayStation in early '96. Set on a space mining platform orbiting a distant sun, Sentient combines adventure, strategy, and role-playing elements. It's a race against disaster that forces the player to make life-or-death decisions in a real-time playing environment. While you interact with in-game
Cool
characters,
face.
they'll be interacting with each
That's
other,
what my face
and
looks
the
like.
situation will continue
Face
to
reveal.
evolve at an ever-increasing pace. This futuristic whodunit will be available for the PlayStation and the PC on September 1st. Who do you call if someone breaks the law of gravity? The G Police, of course.
Oh, okay.
Actually, this is a gritty, Blade Runner-esque game of law enforcement. As a cop on the front line, you pilot your gyrocopter through the city's twists and turns, responding to APBs and returning fire on the scum of the future. This 3D mission-based adventure will be available on December 1st for PC and PlayStation. Not all sports games are created equal. Power Sports Soccer features beautiful visuals, and players are as polygon-heavy as the fighters in Sony PlayStation's Toshinden. Leagues range
Toshinden.
from Italy's Serie A to the English Premier, and it's up to
What?
you to tackle the challenges
Good
and lead your
pose.
chosen team to European Cup glory. It hits the
like the
shelves
butt
in early
boobs pose,
'96
but for, like,
PC
balls.
and PlayStation. Racing games don't get any faster or more thrilling than Wipeout.
Wipeout!
It's
Hell
not
yeah!
enough to just tackle a flat track when you could be zipping around in 3 dimensions in vehicles that are basically flying wedges with big, nasty guns on them. The action hits in 30 blinding frames per second, and you get to design your own ship. What are you waiting for? What do you mean it's not out yet? Well, it's coming out on September 1st for PC and PlayStation, so get in line. And for those of you who loved last year's bizarre adventure Ecstatica, Andrew Spencer is hard at work on his next game, Urban Decay.
Chad,
Don't
did
expect
Urban
a
Decay
sequel,
come
folks.
out?
This is hardcore John Woo-style action in a grimy city landscape. It's the ultimate action movie game, and it's only coming out for the PC. That's
Never
right,
came
not
out,
for the
goddamn, it looks
PlayStation,
so cool.
the PC. Look for it in the summer of '96.
They're little balloon animal people. All right, QQP.
QQP, widely known for its success in the strategic battle game market, was pulling no punches at E3. Their upcoming titles are aimed at keeping in line with their current reputation as leaders in strategy gaming, with a few surprises. The Lost Admiral 2 is the sequel to the award-winning Lost Admiral, and it follows up with technical and gameplay advances. Among these new features are natural disasters, a computer-controlled interloper, land units with armor, modem play, advanced artificial intelligence, random map generator, and more. The Lost Admiral is expected out in late June or early July. Battles in Time is a traditional battle game with a twist: time travel.
Oh.
In the future, mankind has forgotten how to fight wars, so aliens decide to take advantage of a kinder, gentler Earth and attack. To learn how to fight again, we go back in time and get back in touch with our violent side. You'll be able to mix and match elements from different eras, like pitting a tank against Napoleon. My money's on the short guy. Modem play is available,
I think
and
a
up
tank
to 4
would
players
stop,
can go against
them.
each other. Battles in Time should be released in July. One departure from traditional battle gaming is the old board game Awful Green Things from Outer Space,
Never
which
heard of it.
QQP is converted to the PC. A humorous strategy game in which aliens must be stopped from taking over a spaceship and eventually the world. The player must use commonplace items such as fire extinguishers and electric fences as weapons. QQP is developing a pair of versions of the game. One exactly like the board game, with the other featuring a few modifications to the original premise.
I need to go to
Awful Green
Northlands.
Things
That
from Outer
sounds so
Space is set to be
amazing.
released sometime around August. Card Player's Paradise takes the player on an around-the-world adventure. Classic card games such as Rummy 500, Pinochle, Bezique, and Casino are included as you challenge different characters in more than 100 cities all over the world. The player must make travel decisions that will affect their financial situation as they travel the globe. Planned for a June release, it is more than likely already in stores as you view this episode of IE.
Okay. Sanctuary Woods.
Sanctuary Woods is about to continue its popular Predator series of wildlife role-playing simulations.
This is sick.
Last year's Wolf won numerous awards. The sequel, Lion, will build on that success and improve the simulation experience with bigger and even more realistic backgrounds and characters.
Yeah, I was going to
more
say
diversity
Amazing
of prey
Lion.
and
I'm glad you
predator,
saw it,
faster
Tyzo.
and smoother graphics, better animations, and more options. There are 20 different scenarios, such as tracking a zebra herd, escaping a grassland fire, or fighting other lions to lead the pride. Players
Can I
use the
fight the
lion's sense
hunters?
of hearing, sight, and smell to find prey, such as
Can I eat
antelope,
hunters?
gazelle, and wildebeest, and will occasionally have to contend with poachers. Lion is scheduled for release in fall of '95 for both Mac and Windows. Remember that classic Outer Limits episode, To Serve Man?
Oh,
Well,
that was
Orion Burger is a
actually,
fully animated cartoon adventure game that's kind
that
of
was
like
Twilight
that,
Zone,
but without
guys.
the twist ending. See, there's this fast food corporation based in outer space, and they're scouring the universe for unintelligent life to serve on a bun. To find out whether humans are sufficiently stupid to be lunch, the entrepreneurial aliens capture Wilbur, the player character, as a representative of the species. If he can pass the bizarre battery of intelligence tests, the planet will be spared. Otherwise, the planet will be spare ribs. This exceedingly silly PC product is scheduled to hit the shelves this winter. The Journeyman project was the first computer-generated photorealistic adventure game and one of the most popular Macintosh games of all time. The sequel to this cult classic is called
Aw,
Buried in
I'm
Time,
sad these didn't
and it
happen.
promises to outpace the original in every respect. As Temporal Security Agent number 5, it's your job to discover who has framed you for tampering with the past. Your travel
Orion
through
Burger
time
did
will
come
take
out?
you across
Yes!
centuries and
Yes,
nations,
I'm adding that to my
from
list.
Richard
That
the
sounds really
Lionheart
good.
Castle in 1204 to Leonardo da Vinci's private laboratory in 1488 to a Mayan temple in 1050. This epic adventure takes up 3 CDs and contains more than 25,000 frames of imagery and imagination. It should be available right
You
now.
worked on Journeyman
Owners
too?
of the Sony
Cool.
PlayStation will be able to enjoy the Journeyman Project Director's Cut. This new version of the classic game will contain the same great story of time travel, but will also contain new graphics and new puzzles meant to take advantage of the advanced video and audio capabilities of the PSX. Players attempt to protect history from temporal terrorism. Rips in time occur throughout this game, and players must time jump to different environments to restore the fabric of the space-time continuum. Look for this new version of a classic game this winter. Believe it or not, The Riddle of Master Lu is an adventure based on the life of oddity seeker Robert Ripley. The game is set in 1936 as the world is teetering on the brink of war. A powerful talisman, the first emperor of China's Jade Seal, has become the focus of a deadly power struggle that could shift the
I'm
war's
pretty
outcome.
sure this came out.
It's up to the player to help Ripley and his constant companion Mai Chen to prevent the seal from falling into the hands of a ruthless enemy.
You
The
also
Riddle
worked
of
on this.
Master
Cool.
Lu is scheduled for release this spring.
Very cool stuff. Let's go to Surtec.
Surtec was showing off products at E3 which ranged from the worlds of fantasy to the world of the here and now. With new products heading off in the direction of fantasy adventure, Surtec is hoping to build on previous successes. One such previous success is Jagged Alliance. Previously only a one-player game, Surtec is releasing an upgrade package making it capable of handling 2-player head-to-head games over a network, modem, or serial connection. Along with providing 2-player ability, the upgrade will also add new mercenaries along with digital speech, new sector maps, additional weapons, and a scenario editor to create your own Jagged Alliance worlds. Expect the expansion CD-ROM for Jagged Alliance around Christmas of '95. In the fantasy genre, Surtec was showing off Odyssey, a fantasy adventure set for release in early '96. With incredible graphics and an easy point-and-click interface, the player travels through this strange world in a first-person perspective. A dark world with a graphical style reminiscent of Myst or The Seventh Guest, Odyssey should please the folks who wanted more action and fighting in games like Myst.
You want more
Druid,
action and
Demons of the
fighting.
Mind is a role-playing adventure presented in an isometric interface. In the world of Druid, the player must deal with politics as well as magic in gameplay that is non-linear,
Yes,
allowing the player
okay.
to freely
Yeah,
explore
that's
the
what
world.
guys
With
look
SVGA
like.
graphics, each of the animated
That's
sprites
just,
will have
you know.
hundreds of animation frames.
God,
Druid
those
is set for
abs
a
go
fall
so
of '95
deep.
release. Continuing the Realms of Arcadia
Also very
series,
sexy.
Shadows
Thank you,
over
sir.
Riva is the sequel to
I like
the
this
popular
guy.
Star Trail adventure. In this one, the adventurer must find some way to stop the war between the elves, dwarves, and orcs. Shadows over Riva sports SVGA cinematics, new monsters, over 400 weapons, armor, and magical items, 12 character races, over 50 skills, and 80 spells. Players can also import saved games from Blade of Destiny and Star Trail. Shadows over Riva is due out the fall of '95.
All right, we are down to Spectrum Holobyte.
Spectrum Holobyte had a substantial display at the E3 show. In addition to touting the recent release of Falcon Gold and Tetris Gold, Spectrum revealed that its 2 largest current projects, Star Trek: A Final Unity and Top Gun: Fire at Will, are nearing completion. Additionally, they announced several new products at the show, including a sequel to Top Gun now in its early stages, and a version of Top Gun for 3DO's new M2 system. Continuing the line of licensed Star Trek products is Star Trek Generations, based on the recent feature film of the same name. In Generations, you can play either Captain Kirk or Picard, switching between space-based combat and first-person segments
I know
as you
Generations
chase
was in
Soren
95. I, for some reason, thought it was in the late 90s.
Scheduled for release soon in the company's popular
Yo!
Alexei Pajitnov puzzle game line is Quirks. This
Quirks!
Tetris-style game puts you in control of a pair of quirks that fall into a holding bin.
Quirks!
Pairs can be rotated, moved left or right, or
Yeah,
dropped
it's called
into a
Quirks,
bin.
absolutely.
When 4 quirks of the same color come into contact, they disappear. If this sounds familiar, it's because the gameplay is reminiscent of the classic ripoff of Tetris, Dr. Mario. Quirks offers 1- and 2-player modes,
I guess
allowing
it's a
you to challenge
rip-off.
the computer or other humans in 2-player, as well as a puzzle mode, in which you must eliminate pre-designed patterns with a fixed set of quirks. Night Moves, also an Alexei Pajitnov game, is the first 3D title in that series. In it, you must maneuver a chess knight in classic over 1 up 2 fashion across a board filled with obstacles. The obstacles
Yeah,
are
PC
drawn from
gamers don't
classic
know
board
about
games
puzzle
such as
games.
checkers and Go. The game will feature over 100 levels of play and should be available by Christmas. Perhaps one of the most welcome announcements Spectrum made at the show was the release of preliminary information regarding the long-anticipated sequel, World Circuit 2. The first title
I
in
think there's
Spectrum's
an
new
error.
series of racing products, World Circuit 2 will be a
Unless there's
high-tech
a racing
simulation
chess
of
game,
Formula
which
1
honestly
racing.
would be
The
sick.
sequel will offer improved graphics, sound, and enemy driver AI over the original. Finally, if you like Formula 1 racing but don't have the reflexes to handle World Circuit 2,
True.
perhaps World Circuit Manager will be more your speed. With multiplayer network support for up to 16 players, this Windows strategy game will let you manage every aspect of running a Grand Prix race team, from handling drivers to investing in new technology.
Okay, SSI, how you doing?
SSI is one of the best-known software companies around, and the product the company had on display at E3 demonstrated that they aren't letting up a bit. World War II and sci-fi adventure titles dominated the SSI booth. Thunderscape introduces us to the world of Aiden, a world which has fallen victim to the Darkfall. As you may have guessed, this is bad, and it's up to the player to deliver Aiden from the source of evil. Aiden is powered by Mecha Magic, a meld of steam-age technology and sorcery, which
Sorry,
gives
I
it a
shouldn't have
unique
been
look and feel. You play from a
Scrappy-Doo there.
first-person perspective in real time, but unlike other games of its type, like Strahd's Possession, combat is actually turn-based. Thunderscape, the first of the World of Aiden series, is planned to be released in June.
Chat,
The
I got a
second game in
Scrappy.
the
Oh my
World of Aiden
god!
series
Fuck
is
what I was going to say
Entermore.
about Scrappy
Our
Doo. Look at
hero,
this horrible
Kyle,
thing.
lives in a land in which all of the inhabitants, including himself, are
Ugh.
turned into giant insects. So the player must guide Cayenne to the root of the problem before it's too late.
What is
While
that?
still a role-playing game, Entomorph is more arcade-like in its gameplay. Look for it sometime around
Ugh.
September. Back to more traditional themes.
Anyway,
Steel
I was going to
Panthers
ask, do
put
you
in
think
command of
Scrappy Doo
Allied or
has
Axis
trans
tanks in
mask
World War II.
vibes?
The player controls anywhere from a squad of tanks to an entire battalion. In addition to tanks, infantry, cavalry, and motorcycles
Maybe,
are also
yes.
available. There is
Good,
also a
good,
scenario
good,
editor
good.
included. SVGA
I
graphics,
also think he
digitized
does
stereo
in a
sound
way that
effects,
pisses me
animations,
off.
and photos of over 200 tanks highlight Steel Panthers, due out in July. From the land to the sea, SSI puts you in charge of a World War II submarine in Silent Hunter. The mission is simple: destroy as much enemy tonnage as possible. Special assignments will be given as the game goes along. William
I
Bud
think
Brunner, an
Scrappy is
actual
just
sub-commander
gay.
from World
That's
War
wonderful,
II,
chat.
served
Thank
as a
you for the
consultant to the
answers.
game's designers. Silent Hunter has a release date of August. Back to the fantastic again.
Mind-boggling.
AD&D Death Cape is a first-person shooter in the spirit of Doom. The player must travel through 25 dungeons, each with 8 levels, to get to the evil necromancer who's been acting up. 27 different types of monsters, traps, and puzzles are all part of the action, as the player runs, jumps, and flies through the dungeon. AD&D Death Keep comes out for the PC in November.
Take-Two, huh?
Take-Two has decided to take over its own game publishing. The company is no longer distributing its titles under the GameTech umbrella, but are doing it on their own.
See you, Bob.
The first of these independent productions is Millennia Altered Destinies, a science fiction strategy game that involves time traveling around a span of 10,000 years to colonize and control 100 different worlds. You may even enter the fifth dimension and shape your own destiny. This unique product is available for the PC now. Maximum Roadkill puts the player in the
I
middle
like
of
the
the world's
orbs.
most popular and grueling sports event, the Thrash Race. It's high-speed combat on modified motorcycles with lots of 3D rendered graphics of lava pits, collapsing mine shafts, and orbiting space stations. This killer course will be 8-player net compatible and is scheduled for PC release this October. One of the most anticipated adventure games
Hell,
of
a
last year
cyberpunk
had to
thriller.
be Hell, a cyberpunk thriller which combines supernaturally sharp graphics with the star power of Grace Jones, Stephanie Seymour, Jeffrey Holder, and of course, Dennis Hopper. This bizarre tale of the government's manipulation of the Netherworld has already been ported to the 3DO, and Take-Two is hard at work on the Mac version set for release in June. Look for ports to the Sega Saturn and Sony PlayStation in the fourth quarter. If you thought hell was brimming over with celebrities, Ripper will take your breath away.
Oh,
This
Ripper's a
futuristic
classic.
murder mystery will feature the talents of Christopher Walken, Karen Allen, John Rhys Davies, Ozzie Davis, Burgess Meredith, Jimmy Walker, and Tennille Welsh, not to mention the music of Blue Oyster Cult. A serial killer is on the loose in 21st century New York, eviscerating his victims and vanishing without a trace. While the police are baffled, crime reporter Jake Quinlan is determined to follow the trail wherever it may lead, including the darkest corners of cyberspace. Ripper will be available for the PC and Sony PlayStation.
I want to go to
in
the
November,
nicest corners of
with the Mac version
cyberspace.
being released in January of '96.
All right, Time Warner.
One of the greatest things to hit the arcade in the last decade has to have been Primal Rage, the non-stop animation dinosaur fighting game. Time Warner Interactive, knowing a good thing when they see one, is planning to port this marketing miracle to basically every gaming system in the known universe. Come August 25th, you'll be able to go talon to tooth on the PC CD-ROM,
Yeah,
Genesis,
Primal Rag.
SNES,
Hey,
Game
Retro
Gear,
Slop.
and even the lowly Game Boy.
The
November
lowly
14th will mark
Game
a
Boy.
second release wave with Rage versions for the Mac CD-ROM, Saturn, 32X, 3DO, PlayStation, and Jaguar. At last word, ColecoVision owners are out of luck. Speaking of hot arcade translations, Time Warner is about to release T-Mech, a multiplayer hit on the coin-op front. It's a combat simulator with fiercely competitive gameplay and a deadly fight for survival. In the arcades, player had separate screens in the same unit, but the home version will be available for PC in single, modem, or network play. On the Sega 32X, there is a 2-player split-screen option. Both versions will be released in October. Fast Attack is the eagerly awaited follow-up to Software Sorcery's hot naval sim, Aegis Guardian of the Fleet.
Guardian
Fast
of the
Attack is
Fleet.
the deadliest submarine in the world, and you're in charge. Direct the sub through realistic combat scenarios ranging from surface battles with warships in the Persian Gulf to undersea confrontations with ballistic missile subs in the GIUK. There's more than 70 different realistic naval missions, and you have access to state-of-the-art sensors, decoys, and military weapons. Think fast, it's hitting the PC this August. Trying to cram as many different game styles as possible into one product, Conqueror is a medieval action-adventure
Good
strategy
pose.
role-playing game also developed by Software Sorcery. The player is a knight trying to build up the largest and strongest fief in the land. To do this, he must conquer evil, land-hungry lords, and defeat rival knights through a series of tournaments, quests, and jousts. This bizarre hybrid will be available for the PC this July. Atmosphere's primary existence is as a Mattel board game with a videotape component,
Atmosphere.
but a CD-ROM version will be released simultaneously. It's a quest to collect keys
I want to
from
say
each
the
province,
Atmosphere game
avoiding
came
the
out.
pitfalls along
I don't
the way,
know.
and then race to the center to face their greatest fears.
I could swear
Players
I've
get to
seen it
experience
before.
6 completely different virtual
The
worlds in
SNES
person.
prototype of
The
Atmosphere
large
is
number of
dumped. Okay,
surprise
cool.
element make the game different every time it's played. Look for The Fear this September for the
Side-scrolling
PC and
Atmosphere.
Mac
How
CD-ROM.
strange.
Endorphin is TWY's
Endorphin.
attempt to hit the Tetris market. It's a funky little puzzle game where the player must rotate a multicolored cube until the upward face matches a tile underneath. To its credit, Endorphin is trying to be a more positive experience. It's got a great rhythmic, jazzy soundtrack with uplifting subliminal messages hidden underneath while you play. Can you become a better person while
Uplifting
playing a puzzle game? Find out when
subliminal
Endorphin
messages,
is released
huh?
for the PC, Mac, Saturn, and PlayStation this October.
Can I like change the subliminal messages to be anything? Can I make the subliminal messages be like, go to the Cheesecake Factory? Chad, did you know that after this stream I'm going to the Cheesecake Factory? I just thought you'd like to know.
Viacom New Media is hoping for a hit with Zoop, their upcoming abstract puzzle game. You have control over a maneuverable arrow in the middle of the board, and all manner of strange colored shapes start making their way
It's
toward you from
Zoop.
the edges. If your arrow is the same color,
We're
you
zooping.
can zoop the shapes away. If you zoop at a differently colored shape, you and it trade colors. Imagine Tetris closing in on you from all sides, and you'll kinda get the idea.
Man, I used to
This
love the
October,
Spaghetti
Zoop will be
Factory. There
available
aren't
for the
any in
Genesis,
Texas,
Super Nintendo
unfortunately.
Entertainment
Zoop
System,
is good,
Game Gear,
actually, I
Game
swear. I
Boy,
believe it.
PlayStation, Saturn, PC,
I remember
and Mac.
liking Zoop
Michael
when I played.
Crichton Mania
Oh,
is
fuck, we
once
got the
again sweeping
Descent to
Hollywood with the
Zinj.
release of Congo the movie. In June, Viacom will release Congo Descent into Zinj, a PC and Mac CD-ROM
It
adventure
should be Descent
that weaves
into
together
those
characters
Zen
from the film,
tobacco
difficult
pouches. Don't
puzzles,
use
and
those, by the way.
exciting
That's
action.
bad for you.
The visual style is appropriately cinematic with realistic 3D rendered environments, stunning animations, rich musical score,
What if
and
Amy
a
from
first-person
Congo
perspective.
chooses
America's
Zen?
legions of
I think
Beavis
it'd
and
go a
Butthead fans
little
are not
something like
satisfied with a
this.
mere 16-bit video game. They
Me-
want more.
me want
How else can you explain
Zen.
Viacom's decision to give the nation's favorite morons their own PC
This game
misadventure
rocks, by the way. This
Beavis
game
and
is really
Butthead in
good.
virtual stupidity? The player assists our heroes in their efforts to impress Todd the Bully and join his gang in escapades that take place in 25 locations.
I love the
CD will
Japanese
also
dub of
include
Beavis
a
and
variety of
Butthead.
music videos with trademark commentary. The stupidity begins this fall. Younger players will enjoy The Indian in the Cupboard, a graphically rich adventure based on the upcoming movie and the book by Lynn Reed Banks.
Did this
The
come
game
out?
features a simple, intuitive interface and 2 different 3D environments. There is a child's bedroom with a magic cupboard which can be explored from the perspective of the hero, Omri, as well as his 3-inch tall toys. Inside the cupboard is a beautiful 18th century woodland environment where the player will encounter a group of Iroquois who will teach skills such as identifying animal tracks and studying constellations. Look for the PC release in October. Deep Space Nine Harbinger will give fans of the Star Trek spin-off a chance to visit their favorite space station. The player is a Tyrian delegate in the Gamma Quadrant and must overcome a galaxy of deadly obstacles and solve challenging puzzles by successfully interacting with familiar characters. The player will also engage in compelling action sequences such as flying dangerous missions and battling drones in space-age combat. Macintosh and PC versions of Harbinger are scheduled to ship in the winter of '95.
All right, last but not least, it's Virgin.
Virgin Interactive Entertainment had a simply enormous
There's a jester
lineup
over
for
here.
E3. In addition to long-anticipated titles such as The 11th Hour and Command & Conquer, the British-based game giant had 10 new titles on display. At the head of the list of Virgin's upcoming titles was Heart of Darkness. This cutting-edge masterpiece
know about Heart
was
of
created by
Darkness.
Amazing Media, whose founders formerly worked for Delphine and were responsible for the likes of Out of This World and Flashback. As you might expect, the animation is stunning, featuring fully rendered backgrounds and over 1,400 frames of animation of Andy, the main character. Heart of Darkness will also feature nearly half an hour of animated cutscenes. The integration of the cutscenes into the gameplay simply must be seen to
What
be
system
believed.
was that Monopoly
Look for Heart
game
of
for? That
Darkness
sounds
in the fourth
good.
quarter of '95. Also high on the list of new releases is Toonstruck. This combination
Toonstruck is a game I
animated
need to play
live-action
very
adventure stars
badly.
Christopher Lloyd as Drew Blank, a Saturday morning cartoon animator who gets drawn into a world populated by his own creations. Once there, Drew must help defeat the forces of evil Count Nefarious and save the citizens of Qtopia from his devious Malevator. Toonstruck also features the voices of Dom DeLuise, David Ogden Stiers, and Tim Curry. It too should be available in the fourth quarter of 1995. Virgin finally began talking seriously about Lands of Lore 2 at E3. The game has even been given a subtitle, Guardians of Destiny. In the sequel, you play Luther, the son of Scotia, the evil sorceress from the original Lands of Lore. You've inherited Scotia's shape-shifting powers, but not the ability to control them, so you must go on a quest to free you from this curse. In addition to its amazing 3D rendered artwork, Lands of Lore 2 will feature reactive technology. Though the developers did not explicitly describe what reactive technology is,
It'll feature
they did
it.
say that it would give enemy characters the ability to react to player actions by solving problems. Look for Lands of Lore 2 in the fourth quarter of '95. The next title from Virgin affiliate Looking Glass Technologies is Terra Nova. This first-person action strategy game puts you in command of a 4-person
Yeah,
unit
reactive
in powered
technology.
battle
Don't worry about
By
it.
completing a series of missions, you must defend the Centauri colony from invasion by the malevolent Earth hegemony. The game features superb terrain rendering and real-time physics modeling of the human characters. Terra Nova is due to be released in the fourth quarter of '95. Agile Warrior F-111X is an adventure flight sim planned for release on the Sony PlayStation by the end of '95, to be followed shortly thereafter by a PC CD-ROM version. Set in the near future, players pilot a high-tech experimental vector thrust aircraft through a series of 10 missions. This arcade-style flight sim features a variety of air-to-air and air-to-ground weapons, as well as electronic warfare. In October, look to Virgin to bring us the latest from the UK's famous Bitmap brothers. Z is a real-time strategy game a la Warcraft or Command & Conquer.
Okay.
In Z, however, the emphasis is on blowing stuff up over resource management. Battlefields are divided up into sectors, each of which has its own flag. Move a piece over a sector's flag, and you take control of the sector, increasing your level of production. To win a battle, you must capture the flag in your opponent's home sector. Lots of action and a whimsical sense of humor are certain to make Z a big hit. Hyper 3D Pinball is a collection of 6 unique pinball tables, all of which have been rendered using SGIs. The tables can be viewed in 2D or 3D models, feature fast vertical scrolling, and complex 16-bit sound effects. Pinball will be available in the fourth quarter of '95. From Graffiti, the developers of Iron Assault, comes Screamer. This action arcade racing game lets you choose from 6 different tracks and several different cars. The game will support up to 6 players via modem and will be available in the fourth quarter of '95. Take a bunch of classic cars, upgrade them with hover capabilities and heavy weaponry, and what do you have? Zone Raiders, a real-time action game coming from Virgin. On each level, you must enter a zone and perform a task before escaping, all the while slugging it out with enemy vehicles. Zone Raiders will support modem and network play and will be available in the fourth quarter of '95. Alien Alliance is a space combat simulation in the Wing Commander vein. Designed by a dream team of alumni from Spectrum Holobyte, Origin, and Sierra, Alien Alliance will feature an intense storyline linked together by spaceflight combat missions. Some missions will take place in space and some on the ground with separate engines for the 2 mission types. Both combat engines will run in
Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I
SVGA
had to leave
and
for a
feature
second.
SGI-rendered ships. Alien Alliance will be
My
available in
Bluetooth
the fourth
headset
quarter of
are
'95.
in their charger,
Not much
and they
information
fell
is
out, and
available
they scattered
regarding
across
Rivers
the
of
floor,
Dawn.
so I had to get
All we
them.
heard of the show is that it will be a full-motion video role-playing game in which you must recover the 5 missing pieces of a broken magical stone. More on this title as it develops.
Okay.
And finally, if you've been bemoaning the fact that no one's done a good Monopoly game for the PC in a couple of years, bemoan no more. This new version of the Capitalist Classic will support 4-player network and 2-player modem games. If you have a slip connection, you can compete against other players from around the world with the game handling all translations and currency conversions. Monopoly CD will run under Windows and feature over 800 unique 3D animations. The game, which is being developed for Virgin and Parker Brothers by Westwood Studios, is scheduled for release in the third quarter.
Okay, that was that. That was a lot of E3. I don't know if we're going to be able to go through all of this issue in one thing. I'm going to probably split this up into another stream because this is a jam-packed issue. Now, it's time for Interview with Peter
Our interactive
Molyneux.
interview this month is Peter Molyneux, co-founder of Bullfrog Productions and the creative mind responsible for such hit games as Populous and Syndicate.
How did you first get involved with the computer game industry?
Lies and cheating.
Lies and
That's
cheating.
how I got into the industry. I was on the poverty line, eating lentils and potatoes every day because that's all I could afford. And so I went to a firm called Firebird at the time, owned by British Telecomsoft. And I said to them, look, I'm an experienced programmer, know all about games and things. Have you got any work? And they said, yeah, we've got a conversion that you can do onto the Amiga called Druid to Enlightenment.
What was the first game you designed?
Immediately after the conversion, I started on a game called Populous, which I thought when I was designing and developing it, I thought it would be treated by anyone as being weird. They just thought they'd see it as being weird. I had no idea at all it would effectively start a whole new genre of games and get all these awards and sell 4 million copies.
How did you come up with the concept for Populous?
Populous started as an idea, really as a visual idea more than anything else. The ability of standing up and looking down on these small little things moving around, small little people moving around and interacting.
Oh, what is the basic idea of Theme Hospital?
The idea of Theme Hospital is that you have to take your hospital from the Middle Ages, where their approach to
I don't know if he was working on
medicine
black and white at this time.
If it hurts, bleed it. If it still hurts, cut it off. Up to the present day and beyond, where you're using really sort of high-tech stuff. Anything that you can think of that goes wrong in the hospital will go wrong in your hospital, and you have to deal with that.
What is the connection between the upcoming theme hospital and theme park?
Rather like theme park, where we had a solid simulation under theme park, which had on top of it these graphics that made it look really simple, and the interface was really simple. Same's true of theme hospital. Doesn't look quite so childish.
God, I wish there was a Garth Marenghi's Dark Place themed hospital game.
It is a great deal of fun. We're supposed to make people
Certainly,
laugh,
someone can
and
hack
that's
theme
a-
hospital and do that. Yeah. How is Magic Carpet 2 better than the
We
original?
have gone completely over the top on the number of spells. I mean, the original had some 20
Completely over
spells.
the top.
We doubled that to 40 spells. Each one of those spells has an experience category. So if you, on Magic Carpet 1, you could fire a fireball. Bit poxy that. It'd be much better if as you fire more fireballs, you got more experience. And now, as you get more experience, you get whole hosts of fireballs, firestorms coming out. So each one of those 40 spells has 6 experience levels. And if I was good at mental arithmetic, I could work out exactly the number of spells it was, but it's a lot.
What is the plot behind Gene Wars?
Gene Wars is set on Earth, where this galactic police force has come down and taken all our weapons away. We can't have wars anymore. We were too dangerous as a species, so they took all our weapons away. But humans being humans, we devise ever more cunning and devious ways of killing ourselves. So what we've done is, as a race, is we're using genetic engineering to create creatures that can battle against each other.
How do the battles in Gene Wars work?
I send my 6-foot killer rabbits against your killer chihuahuas, and they start battling. While I'm doing that, I'm also creating other creatures. So you can use anything you like, your total imagination, to create what creatures you like to battle against. They also do loads of other things for you.
What distinguishes Syndicate Wars from Syndicate?
The thing about Syndicate Wars is it is hugely violent. There is more blood per pixel than any other game that I've seen.
Cool.
The range of weapons and destruction that you can do. Anything within the city you can destroy. Whether you choose to or not is completely up to your own morals. We don't set those limits, you do. The player does.
Why is there so much heavy armament and high octane?
Whenever I play a racing game, I hate them because I never get first. So what I want to do is just blow a person in front of me out of the way.
You want to blow a person in front of you, Peter?
In pixel by pixel after a whole track, and then when I make one slight mistake on the joypad, then I'm out of there. I want to make sure that guy's dead. He's out of the water. So I can just fire a missile at him and blow him out of the way. There's two ways of actually playing the game. The first way is you can choose to come first. The second way, slightly more fun, this one, you can choose to be the only one left on the track at the end of it.
What separates High Octane from other futuristic racing games?
There's a program that lives inside the code that monitors what's happening in the race constantly. And if at any time the race starts getting boring, then what it does, while you're playing it, it'll change the track. So you're driving down this straight bit and there's a slight bump in there, and all of a sudden you'll see this bump extrude up from being 50 foot high to being 1,000 foot high. You have to take your car up there.
What can you tell us about High Octane?
It's set on a racetrack when you race around with these hover cars. First thing a race game should be is fast, and this is ultra fast. You race round, up to 16 people can race around simultaneously. Again, it's multiplayer.
How has the merge with Electronic Arts affected your day-to-day work?
You've got to remember, in the early days, I used to do everything from deciding on the colour of the toilet roll to designing all the games. And now, with the merger with Electronic Arts, it means that the whole marketing issue I don't need to worry about anymore.
Are you happy with the Electronic Arts merger?
This show, E3, has been brilliant for me. I mean, it's like a dream come true. Just having there's a 20-foot balloon outside floating. You're sitting on a green couch in our own room. I've got a Bullfrog branded jacket on. There's a Bullfrog pen here in my hand, and it's like, you know, I never could imagine that would have been possible. And so the really positive effects of that merger.
Okay, he liked the merger. How do you decide what sort of game to work on next?
I only really design for one person, that's me. The only reason I design games is because I want to play them, not because the marketplace is keen on god games at the moment, or fighting games, or simulations. I just think of a game idea and say, hey, that would be really cool to play. I can hardly wait to play that, and there's no games out there like this at the moment, so I might as well develop them myself.
How can Bullfrog release 7 new games this year instead of 1 or 2?
Well, it's not that that we're doing things any quicker. It's just that there's more of us, and we're able to take more on. I mean, we've got 50 game designs in the filing cabinet. I mean, and so even with 7, it's going to take us quite a few years to just work through those, and they just, they're not getting any smaller. Every time we use one game idea, another game idea gets slotted in.
What is the concept behind creation?
Creation is in an environment which initially starts off as absolutely perfect. There are these 8 cities.
High Octane sounds amazing.
The right resources. They're all friends. They all
it sounds so broken, Chad. I love this.
They're wonderful, wonderful friends. Into that perfect society and environment, under the water, there's this mutant fungus that's put down. Everything that mutant fungus touches is corrupted. So at the start of the game, you get to play around with dolphins. You can swim with the dolphins. You can see them diving up to the surface and going under the ocean. But if they're touched by this fungus, they mutate into these horrible, spiny-looking creatures that'll attack you.
Is creation anything like Magic Carpet? What the fuck kind of question is that?
The Magic Carpet is super fast, super reactional. Under the ocean, everything's much slower. But the perception of danger and fear when you're like 2,000 feet down, it's absolutely dark, and you let off a flare, and instead of seeing a rock face, which you expect, you see the 50-foot jaws of a mutated sea creature. And that actually is a truly scary experience.
How large is Bullfrog?
We started with 3 people when we were doing Populous. We're now, at the start of September, we'll be 75, which for us is huge. I mean, just over that 6-7 year period, doubling every year is pretty amazing.
Do you prefer real-time to turn-based games?
I really love real-time games. I hate the thought that there has to be pause keys in games, because I don't see why my world should die while you want to go to the toilet. It's just, you should suffer for that, not my game.
Wrong! I will go to the toilet anytime I want. Is it easier or harder to design game sequels? By the way, I will go to the toilet, and you can't stop me, Peter Molyneux.
Sequels are so hard to do because you have professed to everybody to make this perfect game, this perfectly designed game. And now doing a sequel, you're sort of saying, well, I missed all this stuff out in the first game, and now I want to put a load in. And really, in a weird sort of way, that's wrong.
No, it's not. Do you ever have a problem with not having a game work out the way you'd hoped? Oh my God, what a question.
Trouble is with game design, it's rather like a blind man trying to paint. I mean, that's what computers are. In your head, you've got the most fantastic visual ideas, the most splendid game design ideas, and you think, I'd really love to do this, I really have to have that cool effect, but hey, I haven't, it's getting too slow, there's not enough memory, you can't do that sort of thing because you've got a stupid little mouse that you have to control the game with.
Stupid little mouse!
And so it's a very frustrating process.
Which Bullfrog game is your least favorite? This one I gotta hear.
The one I'm not proud of is Powermonger, because we really rushed that towards the end, and it should have been a lot better than it was. I mean, it was very successful, but I didn't think necessarily it deserved to be so successful, and it taught me that never release a game until you're happy about it.
And I bet you never had that problem again. What will the Indestructibles be like?
You get to create your own superhero. Now, any attribute you thought about superheroes, you can attribute to this character. Super speed, super strength, X-ray vision, death vision, absolutely anything you can think of. And once you've created your superhero, you then have to find a home for it. So, just as Batman has Gotham City, Superman has Metropolis, so you have to find a home for your superhero.
Yeah, he does have Garth Marenghi vibes.
Into that city, there may be another superhero because it's a multiplayer game. up to 8 people can play. So I may be standing on top of this skyscraper and I see you walk along the street. I can fly down, pick up one of the cars that are travelling there, smash it over your head. You could break off the side of a lamppost, hit me around the body, and then run off behind a building.
Where did you get the idea for the Indestructibles?
It always occurred to me as a kid when I was watching Superman movies or reading comics is what happened when Superman misses? What happens when he was taking that death blow to Dr. Doom? And instead, he hits into the side of the Chrysler building.
Excuse me?
This is the man that can move the
Dr.
whole
Doom
Earth.
and
He totaled the
Superman, two
Chrysler
different
building, and that's
universes,
gonna
dude.
seriously piss off a lot of people within that city.
He never took a blow from Dr. Doom. What the fuck are you talking about? Superman. I'm fine. Where did you get the idea for Dungeon Keeper, you fucking liar?
I've always thought it's much more fun to play the evil dudes. I mean, they're the ones that have the fun. I mean, they're the ones that they've got the really nice looking evil vixens at their sides. They're the ones that, you know, to get to stay up all night and play cards and get drunk, and it's much more fun to be evil.
What will Dungeon Keeper be like? I gotta look up if there's ever a crossover with Superman or Doctor Doom, but I think he's just bullshitting us.
You have to build and
Bullfrog,
run this
more like
dungeon.
bullshit.
The dungeon starts off small, few heroes come in, you've got to use your forces, goblins and vampires and spiders, whatever, to defend against the heroes coming in trying to steal your treasure. If you kill the heroes, then your treasure pile increases, because they've got gold on them, they've got weapons on them, and the more your reputation increases, until eventually you're attracting some really big heroes in the game. I mean, my dream would be to have guest heroes come in, like the Avatar from the Ultima series, or even Lord British himself coming into the game, trying to steal your treasure.
Oh, he wants crossovers. Well, why is Bullfrog so committed to multiplayer games?
Well, I've been saying since 1989 that multiplayer is going to be the future of gaming, and at last some people are agreeing with me. It's been a bit embarrassing.
He's so full of himself, I fucking love it.
All our
It's
games
so...
are multiplayer, we'll
God
always
bless,
support
man.
multiplayer, and that's still true now. And to me, there's nothing like playing against another human. It doesn't matter how skillfully I craft a computer opponent, there is nothing like the ability of saying, you just beat me, I'm going to thump you now. I mean, that line's really strong.
Don't thump me.
Having that in multiplayer is really important.
Actually, you can thump me with a giant hammer. It's fine. What is the plot behind Magic Carpet 2?
If anybody, when they played Magic Carpet, noticed that your master, the master magician that taught you all the power, fell into a crack. You didn't actually see him die. That old Hollywood classic. What you have to do is go into these nether worlds and try and find him again, to help you bring the world back together.
What is the story behind Syndicate Wars?
Syndicate Wars is the sequel to Syndicate. It's coming out on the PlayStation first, which is why it's called Syndicate Wars as opposed to Syndicate 2. Set in the Syndicate environment where the world has been dominated by your corporation for a number of years, but all these factions have built up against your corporation. So you have religious cults, you have bikers, you have technologists, all of them have their own clans. What you have to do is go into your cities, and you have to make sure you hang on to your cities before they break down into civil chaos.
Oh, excuse me. And that's it. We did it. We interviewed Peter Molyneux. We had a little bullshit, but yeah. Okay, we have not much time left. I need to go around 4 or so. How long is this?
Welcome to our company profile. This month, we'll take a behind-the-scenes look at the developers of the highly successful real-time strategy game Warcraft: Orcs and Humans. That's right, we're paying a little visit to Silicon and Synapse. No, Chaos Studios. Make that, oh yes, Blizzard Entertainment.
Let's see, Warcraft 2?
Warcraft 2 is more encompassing. It's a bigger game. It includes land, sea, and air, which Warcraft 1 didn't. Warcraft 1 was just purely land-based. It just makes the world a bigger place to live in. I believe that Warcraft 2 is more of what we wanted Warcraft 1 to be originally. Like it's a broader scope. It includes, the land, sea, and the air, and a lot of the ideas really came from in here. But we do listen to people. We do listen to
Seraphis
the
Kane,
public.
I don't know if that's...
We got so many suggestions, so many
Molyneux
emails
working at
to
a
us
baked
about,
bean export
"This is
company
great.
sounds...
Let's
that
do
sounds
Warcraft
real to
2
me.
with this, and this, and that's gonna, segue right
It is
into the
100%
Warcraft 2
true.
discussion, which, to a
So
large
he
degree,
just
are
kind
suggestions
of
that came
failed
from consumers.
upwards, huh?
The single biggest thing that people wanted was, right now in Warcraft 1, if you move out, the darkness evaporates away. You take that unit back and you can still see where you've been. There's no line of sight.
Fog of War is just like, in the first Warcraft, you could walk and explore an area, then come back. Now you can actually walk into an area and come back, and you'll still see where you've been, but you won't see what's actually going on there unless you have units there.
It completely changes the tactics of the games. You need scouts and pickets and flanking maneuvers and ambushes.
His company
become
sounded
real,
very similar to one that was
and you
developing
can't,
database
you
software,
can't
so
assume
Commodore
anything.
called the wrong one.
An
Beautiful.
overwhelming force
Oh my
would
God,
be
I
headed
love
in
him.
one direction, get flanked, and you go cut the guy's economic backbone. You couldn't do things like that in Warcraft 1, or less could you do that if you explored the area around you. There were really no tactical surprises. That'll be totally different in Warcraft 2, and true military tactics will play a much larger role
From
in
baked
Warcraft
beans
2.
to populace.
There's twice as many units, twice as many buildings, twice as much magic. The maps are twice as wide and twice as tall, so 6 players in each game. More is what people asked for. Super VGA, more colors, more graphics. We added everything that people asked for, with the one notable exception, the more races issue.
Bringing a lot more races this time around. Before, people were kind of crying out for more races. We're not really going to be able to do 4 races.
I
So
feel
what we're gonna
bad.
do is we have the human allies and the orc allies. So
It sounds
the
like he's
humans,
saying
as
more
they roll down their
racist, and I'm
path,
like,
they
I'm
sort of
pretty
meet up
sure
with
no one
elves,
asked
and
for
they meet up
that,
with the
dude.
dwarves, and they gain units from those guys. On the other side, the orcs meet up with trolls and ogres, and they gain units from that side. One of the examples is like elvish archers. In the first game, you'd go footmen, then you just get archers. This time around, you're going to have to actually play a scenario and help a little band of elvish archers out, perhaps, and then they'll come to your aid. The elfish archers this time around, though, won't just like upgrade their arrow strength. They might have abilities, like move through trees, or camouflage, or tracking, and stuff like that. None of that stuff's set in stone yet, but we're definitely going to give them extra abilities to do with their races. More people, it's going to be 8-player, multiplayer, up to 8-player, I think, between 6 and 8. Also, paramount to this game is there's more resources. There's now, because there's oceans, there's now oil. Oil is a major resource that you can build your ships with and various other units. And you have to actually build a shipyard, send a ship out there, ping for oil, basically, like sort of cast a spell, shows you where the oil is, set down an oil platform, and then, almost like in the first game, you take the oil from the oil platform back to the oil refinery, the coastline, and start a stream going there. Also on land, there's now rocks that you have to mine for ore. So now we have 4 resources: gold, lumber, ore, and oil. Storyline, it's a lot more grand this time. The scenario design is going to be very interactive. We want to try and make it so that it's not a linear scenario. We want to have it so that you definitely, when you pick your decisions, you're affecting your next upcoming game. So you choose to go help the elves out instead of the dwarfs this scenario. By the time you get to the next scenario, you won't have a blacksmith. You'll have elven archers instead. We have on each side, you could end up playing about 25 a side if you play the long way around. If you played the quick way, or if you took note of the hints and tried to play the best way you could, you'd probably play 16 a side if you played it perfect. The way we've designed it,
oil discovered by the elvish hero fracking.
maybe taking a keep or something like that. You may decide that this time I'm just going to go straight for the keep. I'm going to attack it with all I've got right now. Or you could wait 2 more scenarios and try to gain support from, say, paladins, maybe gain another spell or 2 through another scenario, rally up the people around the area, and then go attack the keep. So then you end up playing, it takes longer to get there, but you'll have more stuff when you actually get there.
Okay, what about Shattered Nations?
Shattered Nations is take Road Warriors post-Holocaust, kind of low technology world, and take Terminator 2's futuristic post-Holocaust science fiction world, Combine those two together and you have a good idea of what the world that Shattered Nations takes place in.
Shattered Nation.
Hey, Bill.
Right, which is another strategy title that's going to be along a civilization-style model, but set in a post-apocalyptic setting after the fall of mankind. You have to, as the player, you're cast in the role of being the leader of a band of survivors that are now having to not only researching yourself but scavenge the remains of mankind's history to rebuild society. We're working through an advisor system right now, where as the game becomes more and more difficult, you're able to hand off the more difficult tasks to advisors. So the computer, again, using the
like,
computer
you
to
do this,
streamline another part
advisors.
for you. All 3D rendered, and all a lot of cutscenes, and also all the graphics are totally rendered, giving it definitely a graphic style, look, and feel that hasn't been done in a strategy title. And we're handling the combat element is actually one of the things we had to invest a couple of pretty knockdown, drag-out meetings into to make it work. So when the units meet, because it'll happen between turns, it's turn-based as opposed to real-time. We wanted to have more than just a units bump and the bigger unit wins, because we want to be able to stack units, and 5 smaller units should be able to destroy 1 larger unit.
What about Diablo?
Diablo is going to be our first entry into the RPG arena. It is going to be highly rendered, 3/4 perspective, dungeon crawl. I hate to use that term, but again, to paint a mental picture for you.
There's some things about Diablo that make it, I think, very different from a lot of role-playing games. One of the issues we looked at was replayability factor. In role-playing games, generally once you buy an RPG and you're done playing it, you're done playing it.
It's going to have a high replay value in that it's multiplayer. Dungeons are randomly generated, although they still have very strongly themed puzzles within them. We're building a huge number of puzzles, and they'll be randomly placed into randomly generated levels, so you'll be able to go back and play these games over and over and over.
When you go back into the level, within the game it's still the same.
Yeah, the audio mixing is a delight.
Once I finish Diablo, if I want to go back through again, level 1 will be different from the last time I played level 1 from the other game. It'll be a multiplayer game as well, so multiple people will be able to go in and complete the quests. It's also not a typical fantasy setting. It's a very dark, gothic setting almost, with a lot dealing with the undead and demonic powers, a lot more than standard elves and dwarves and fairies and wood sprites. We kind of wanted to get away from that.
What about PAX Imperia 2?
Definitely a very intense, what I tend to refer to as a bean counter game, with me being able to maintain control as the player over every aspect that we can possibly put in of running a galactic empire, from military to political to economic. Doing a lot graphically to enhance the program, as well as increasing all the different abilities that you'll be able to have, from choosing your race to defining what temperatures it has, that it can the characters can work well in, what atmosphere they breathe, what types of talents they have, whether the race is more psionically bent or technologically, or energy weapon-wise, or mechanically oriented, all the way up through ship design, through building your entire empire, setting up trade routes, political actions between you and other players. I think one of the biggest changes in it from PAX actually is that it's going to support on network 16 players, with any number of which can be the computer.
All right, design philosophy. Take it away, Alan.
The 30 of us here and 29 of us or so are in R&D. We're all fanatic game players, even our office manager, Christina. The reason we hired her, and she doesn't do any R&D, but the reason we hired her is because she owns her own Super Nintendo. Not her brother's, or her boyfriend's. It's hers, and she plays the games.
We hired her because she has a Super Nintendo.
So we did Amiga conversions of a lot of the Interplay products. We did some work for Micro League Sports.
Hire me, I have a CDI.
Amiga versions of some of their PC products.
It's a great way to train someone. You get to very easily, you learn a new platform, you learn how someone else approached particular problems. You get to see, without going through the long process yourself, you get to see what mistakes they made, things they did right, things they did wrong. It's a very easy way to get into the business.
Lost Vikings went on to become the puzzle game of the year, and it's kind of funny because when we started it, we had faith in our own abilities as, you know, as designers and game players, but the concept from where we started to where it finished, 180 degrees, and that sort of defines to this date my
Yeah, it was really
philosophy
sexist
in
even for the
games.
90s.
We believe that good games, the best games, evolve as you design them, and you really have to set the team up to design by the seat of its pants.
We're all very dedicated game players, and we're very competitive, and we want to build games that we can play against each other.
It's taken the entire scientific community 100 years to come up with a good chess algorithm that's capable of competing against a decent human chess player. Chess is not real time. There's only, 64 squares on the board, and there's only, 6 different types of pieces.
Nervous, thank you so much for the raid.
AI, it'll still never equal a human AI.
Nervous just rated
especially when
13
games
viewers.
Because there's so many tricks and twists and outwardly stupid things that a person will do that I don't think that another human expects them to do, which usually results in winning.
All right, last but not least, company history. Let's see what's here.
The origins of the company are in a little DBA called Imagination Development Systems, which was me as a 15-year-old in high school. I started as a beta tester and an aspiring programmer right at the very beginning. I had one of the original Apple II Pluses, 48K,
Still thinking about
and if you had 64K,
Peter Molyneux's baked beans.
That kind of stuff. So that was the beginnings, kind of the origins of what is now Blizzard
Howdy.
Entertainment.
Well, howdy.
Mike Morheim, he's our vice president. Frank Pierce is one of our senior programmers, and Mike, Frank, and I, we were the founding members. So the three of us actually started the corporation, Silicon and Synapse, in 1991.
And I were
this
taking
one's been, oh my God, look at Mike. This one's been all about E3 and a lot of canceled games.
I didn't know Alan very well at this point, but Alan got up from his system, and on a Unix system you can lock it. You type lock, it prompts you for password, you type in your password, and then no one can use your system for 10 minutes, and then it times out. Well, Alan was gone for longer than 10 minutes, so I looked around, he wasn't anywhere. I figured I'd play a practical joke on him. Walked over to his system, re-locked it with my own password, sat back down and just pretended, that everything was, fine. Alan walks back in, sits down at his terminal, and it unlocks. So I look over and my jaw just dropped. I couldn't figure out how he could possibly have done that. Turns out we use the same password.
We changed at the end of '93 from Silicon and Synapse to Chaos Studios. And the reason we did that was we were positioning ourselves to go affiliated, to set up an affiliated label, and decided after 3 years of spelling Silicon and Synapse over the phone, and people saying silicone and what, and it was just, we needed a shorter, sweeter, sexier name for the company.
Shorter, sweeter, sexier.
What we decided was after we were acquired by Davidson, again, one last time, sort of to define our new goal now as a publisher, as a brand label, our new mission statement,
I would say the game that didn't come out, whose name I forgot already, sorry, there was a game that was supposed to come out about a dolphin scientist, and that looked amazing. It looked incredible, but no. All right, I'm actually going to see how many articles we have here. 1, 2, 3. Can we finish this? Oof. Oh, there's so little left and I have to go. Okay. All right. I'm going to do a short interactive entertainment stream. Actually, shit, I'm going to do that next week since I'm going to be pretty tired next week because I have jury duty on Thursday and maybe Friday and maybe Saturday. Not Saturday, but maybe Monday. So we will see. We will see how that goes. But I think I'm done for now with this issue of interactive entertainment, but I will come back and finish it very soon. Either next week or the week after, and I'll find some VHS tapes to watch along with it. So we will come back and finish this, but yeah, I have stuff to do, unfortunately, after the stream. So let's go with done. Let's go with exit.
Coming up in a future episode of IE, we'll take an inside look at Tech War and our exclusive interactive interview with William Shatner. Our company profile will feature Interplay, and we'll take a look at the progress on LucasArts' newest adventure, The Dig.
The Dig!
See you next time, cyberfans.
See you next time, cyberfans. And all right, that was most of issue 15 of Interactive Entertainment. I will come back to that probably either next week or the week after, depending on how jury duty goes. So yeah, I'll see you then. Xena, take us away. Take us out, I should say. You are now safe to turn off your computer. Well, folks, thank you all so much for watching. I will be doing the Patron Request Gauntlet tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central. Let me do a shout out to Retro Pals if you're not already following. Retro Pals! I didn't mean to do that in all caps, but yeah. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central, got more of your gaming picks, so do look forward to that. I will be playing DOS and Mac games this week, either Wednesday or Friday, so if you made a request for either of those, do check that out. And now let's find someone to raid. Let's see here. I want, following. There we go. How about... Dot level just started. Yeah. Let's follow Dot. Let's go to Dot. Let's invade Dot. They're doing platformers, so we got to see it. So let's start the raid. Thank you all so much again for watching. I do appreciate it. May you dream of scientific dolphins and the many, many strange things they do. Thank you all so much for showing up, folks. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.